Chapter 4026. Ha ha. Ao Sheng laughed. What's the point of saying all this now? The crystal dragon scripture is the sacred item of my dragon island. It's owned by all 9 clans. Since when did it become your clan's private property? Besides, if we spill our essence blood, wouldn't that be the same as letting ourselves be captured? Cough cough. Xiao Hua tried to smooth things over. Ao Sheng, I can vouch for Ao Zhon. His words should still be trustworthy. Xiao Hua. Ao Sheng looked at Xiao Hua with interest and asked, You know Ao Zhon? Could it be that you entered the stacked Jade Legacy realm with Ao Zhon in secret? Xiao Hua shook his head. Ao Sheng, I came to Dragon Island for Ao Zhantian, but also for other things. I already told the elders in the Dragon Palace. I only met Ao Zhantian before entering the stacked Jade Legacy realm. I don't know his plan at all. Oh, do you think I would still tell you the name of the deeper Yuan if I knew his plan? Who knows? Ao Sheng sneered. Opening the seal of the deeper Yuan seems to require the essence blood of my Dragon Island's 10 clans. If I didn't come, the essence blood of the Dragon clan wouldn't exist. Is there such a coincidence? Xiao Hua looked at the dozens of dragons around Ao Sheng, dumbfounded. Ao Zhon said coldly, Ao Sheng, I don't want to say anything unnecessary. If you want to live, if you want to rule the Dragon Island in the future, you better give up now. If you still resist after 10 breaths, don't blame me for not giving the Dragon Island any face. You dare. Ao Sheng was furious. 10. Ao Zhon ignored him and counted by himself. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Ao Sheng yelled in exasperation. As Ao Zhon counted, his body expanded again, and the dragon chi around the ring-shaped mountain flocked into his body. Between the pitch-black dragon scales, a pitch-black dragon stone appeared. Roar! Before Ao Zhon counted to 5, Ao Sheng roared, and a series of crackling sounds came from his body. The originally injured dragon body expanded as if it was inflated, and the dragon horns glowed with a brilliant light. A destructive dragon aura emitted from his body. Ah! Not only Ao Zhon, but all the dragons, demons, and humans present were shocked because the dragon's might was rising steadily. In just a moment, it had reached an unbelievable level. The shock that came from the bottom of their hearts made them not only stop, but they also hurriedly retreated. Their claws were also trembling, and they were unable to resist. First Elder. Naturally, Xiao Hua was also intimidated by this dragon's might. His body couldn't help but tremble. He is somewhat familiar with this dragon's might. Isn't this the aura of the great elder of the Dragon Island? Ao Zhon. As expected, Ao Sheng's dragon body expanded several times, and the terrifying dragon aura covered the entire ring-shaped mountain. Only then did he lower his huge dragon head and look at Ao Zhon, saying, This old man has waited for you for thousands of years, and you have finally appeared. Ha ha ha, you really didn't disappoint me. Although Ao Zhon had obtained the dragon's bloodline inheritance, it was still too early after all. At this moment, he tried his best to urge his dragon chi to resist, but under this power, his pitch-black dragon body was suspended in the air. The dragon flame was also transparent like a crystal, and he didn't move at all. However, even though the great elder of the Dragon Island sealed his divine ability, he couldn't seal his battle intent and anger. Ao Zhon said loudly, I am a descendant of the Gui clan, so I naturally won't be the same as the other 9 clans of the Dragon Island. How can I disappoint the Great Elder? However, the Great Elder actually used the body of a little child to deal with me personally. I am really overwhelmed by the favor. Ao Zhon's words were naturally sarcastic, but why would the Great Elder care? He smiled coldly, just as the previous generation's elder said, You Gui clan have always had an unruly character. You only think about yourself and not the other dragon clans. Do you know why Ao Qin took the crystal dragon and escaped into the folded Jade Legacy realm? Do you think it's because of those self-righteous reasons that you obtained from your ancestors? Do you think you are the only one who knows about your many schemes? All the truth is the declaration of the victor. Ao Zhon smiled faintly. Don't you think your explanation is too weak? Instead of explaining this to me, why don't you explain how you can borrow Ao Sheng's dragon body? If I knew you had this kind of divine ability, how could I have fallen into your trap? The 10 clans of the Dragon Island each have their own secret bloodline divine ability. There are so many. The Great Elder answered, just like how you Gui clan can naturally hide your own bloodline and transform into another clan's bloodline at will, the primordial spirit of my dragon clan is extremely similar, and we can perform the divine ability of primordial spirit resident. Do you know why Ao Sheng is called the Little Elder? Not only because his bloodline is pure, but also because his primordial spirit is extremely similar to mine, the previous generation's elder. Forget it, Ao Zhon sighed. We have left the Dragon Island for a long time, and this kind of secret has long been forgotten. If not for this, our Gui clan would have succeeded today. After saying that, the black flames around Ao Zhon suddenly surged up, and a series of dragon roars came out from his body. Ao Zhon's scales overflowed with dragon blood, and his body expanded, and the dragon's aura began to rise. Oh, this is really beyond my expectation. The Great Elder was surprised to see that Ao Zhon actually had the strength to fight. Roar! While he was talking, Ao Zhon raised his dragon claws, and a shadow flashed past. Swoosh! The Great Elder's chest was instantly covered with blood. Although the Great Elder had occupied Ao Sheng's dragon body, Ao Sheng's dragon body was not the Great Elder's. Under this attack, Ao Sheng's chest was almost torn apart. The Great Elder was shocked and had no time to think about why Ao Zhon had such a mysterious divine ability. He raised his claws and stabbed forward. Sizzle! Dozens of thunderbolts were produced, completely sealing Ao Zhon's neck. No matter how Ao Zhon shook his head and tail, he could not break free. The Great Elder's sharp claws fell, and Ao Zhon was about to be torn apart. And in Ao Zhon's eyes, there was no fear except regret. The resentment of the 10 clans of Dragon Island can finally be settled at this time. The Great Elder said indifferently, "This old man killed you, the leader, so there shouldn't be any more trouble in the future. My Ji clan has tens of thousands of descendants. If you kill me, there will be other dragons." Ao Zhon shouted unyieldingly. "Kill them one by one." The Great Elder laughed. "There will always be a time when we kill them all." As he spoke, the sharp claws were about to fall. But at this time, a voice sounded, "Wait. Wait." The Great Elder's sharp claws did not stop, and he replied indifferently, "Didn't Daoist Xiao say just now? Not participating in the internal strife of my Dragon Island's 10 clans, why are you going back on your words now?" "I don't plan to participate." Xiao Hua replied indifferently. However, this Xiao saw a future great sage of the Dragon Clan, who has yet to show his talent and is about to fall. "It's a pity for your dragon clan, so I wanted to say a word." "You mean him?" The Great Elder was a little stunned. Looking at Ao Zhon, who had already given up struggling, he laughed and said, "How could he be a great sage? Why don't you tell me? I will only say one word, I won't say anything else." Xiao Hua laughed. "If there's anything, you should ask Ao Zhon." Chimpage. Ao Zhon snorted coldly and did not answer. The Great Elder sneered and said, "Even if he is a great sage of the Dragon Clan, he is still a great sage of the Ji clan. The more powerful he is, the more harmful it will be to my Dragon Island. My Dragon Island is already a little tired to deal with a pentaceratops. If there is another enemy of the Ji clan, how can my Dragon Island be peaceful? Damn it, this is bad." Xiao Hua complained in his heart, his eyes turned rapidly, and shouted, "Sigh, Great Elder. Could it be that you didn't see Ao Zhon's mercy towards Ao Sheng just now? If he could kill Ao Sheng, when he captured Ao Sheng earlier, he would have already killed Ao Sheng, right? Don't you think that with the method he used to injure you just now, it would be easy for him to kill Ao Sheng?" The Great Elder was a little hesitant. Xiao Hua was right. Ao Zhon did have a lot of opportunities to kill Ao Sheng. Especially what Ao Zhon said to Ao Sheng just now, he also heard it. Ao Zhon was really thinking about the Dragon Clan's inheritance. Xiao Hua struck while the iron was hot and said, "My human race often says that family is a relationship of blood and flesh where the bones are broken and the tendons are connected. Your Dragon Island's 10 clans are all Dragon Clan, their bloodline originated from the same source, no matter what, they are close. They are originally from the same root. Why are you so anxious to kill each other? I don't know what grudges the Ji clan has with the other 9 clans, but after hearing a few words just now, I feel that there seems to be some misunderstanding. Actually, a lot of things are misunderstood because they can't be explained clearly. As long as things are explained clearly, the misunderstandings will vanish like smoke. Now, it is really rare. One is the son of the Ji clan, the other is the great elder of the Dragon Palace. I don't believe that there is anything in this world that can't be explained clearly. Of course, great elder, if you really have a reason to kill, not to mention this deeper UN, not to mention this folded jadeite legacy realm, even on the entire Dragon Island, who can stop you? The matter of the Ji clan is too long ago. The great elder was moved by Xiao Hua's words and said. Xiao Hua at the side hurriedly waved his hand. Great elder, this is your Dragon clan's secret, it is not suitable for me to know. You should talk to Ao Zhan alone. Secret. Heh. The great elder faintly smiled. He understood the double meaning of Xiao Hua's words. He laughed and said, you are right, this old man really wants to know, just how much does the Gui clan hate my Dragon Island 9 clans? After saying that, a layer of faint dragon chi rose between the great elder and Ao Zhan. Wherever the dragon chi passed, the two giant dragons froze on top of the dragon chi, and not a trace of movement could be heard. Looking at the other dragon clan, human clan, and demon clan, there was surprise on their faces. What was happening in front of them had long surpassed their imagination. They all stopped fighting and separated into two places, waiting for the result. Looking at everyone, Xiao Hua sighed a little. Alas, poor Ao Moryun, to be called Mr. Moryun in vain. In the end, he really thought himself clever. But, if she didn't stop this Xiao from taking action, how should this Xiao face Ao Sheng's request for help? After all, it is a living life. It is really a pity. -13. Chapter 40-27. Ao Moryun's poison naturally couldn't hurt the current Xiao Hua, he was just giving Xiao Hua a reason not to attack. And the price of this reason was a life, which made Xiao Hua feel that it was not worth it. Xiao Hua waited for half a day, but the longer the time, the more Xiao Hua felt at ease. After all, Ao Zhan had to bargain with the great elder, which would take time, and if the great elder didn't want to listen, he would probably come out in a moment, right? Just as Xiao Hua was thinking, the two dragons above the dragon chi moved, and the dragon chi instantly disappeared, revealing the great elder and Ao Zhan. However, the expression of the two dragons was different from what Xiao Hua thought. There was no crying, no ecstasy, only calmness, as if nothing had happened. This old man can't occupy Ao Sheng's dragon body for a long time. Once the great elder appeared, he immediately ordered, you don't have to fight with the Hui dragons anymore, just listen to Ao Sheng's orders. Yes, great elder. The dragons on the Dragon Island all heaved a sigh of relief and replied. Then, the great elder glanced at Xiao Hua and said, Xiao Hua, this old man will leave everything here to you. If you help Ao Sheng get the Crystal Dragon scripture, you can get the friendship of my Dragon Island. Of course, other than the Crystal Dragon scripture, this old man also doesn't know what else there is in the deeper UN. If you are fated to get the ruined dragon core, it might be possible. Don't worry. Don't worry. Xiao Hua saw that the great elder was about to leave, and hurriedly shouted, do I need to eat the dragon core? Great elder, you have to tell me where the dragon cleansing pool is, right? Hehe, this old man has already said what needs to be said. You can ask Ao Sheng yourself. The great elder's voice became softer and softer as he replied with a smile. After saying that, Ao Sheng's dragon body rapidly shrank, and the terrifying dragon pressure from before also weakened, revealing Ao Sheng proudly. Ao Sheng. Ao Zhan's tone was not particularly intimate, and said, did you hear what the great elder said? Of course. Ao Sheng said with a smile. Ao Zhan nodded, good. You all rest for a moment, then listen to my arrangements, we will break the seal of the deeper UN. All right. Ao Sheng agreed and prepared to bring the rest of the dragons to the other side of the ring-shaped mountain. Don't be hasty. Xiao Hua called out again, Ao Sheng, tell me the truth. Where is the dragon cleansing pool? Reverend. Ao Sheng smiled bitterly. Didn't I make it clear to you earlier? I really don't know where it is. Why don't I look for it with you after we come out of the deeper UN? If you can't find the dragon cleansing pool, don't blame me for not returning it. Before Xiao Hua could finish his sentence, Ao Sheng, who was swimming, naturally knew what he meant. However, in Ao Sheng's eyes, Long Yu was no match for the crystal dragon scripture. He could only throw Xiao Hua's threat to the back of his head. Ao Zhon, on the other hand, looked at his subordinates and instructed, "You all should also rest for a while. When we return from the stacked Jade Legacy Realm, the Dragon Hall will issue the Dragon Hall Order. Because my Gui clan knows our wrongs and repents, we will return the Crystal Dragon Scripture and pardon some of the sins of my Gui clan. Then when will my clan return to the 10 clans of the Dragon Island?" A dragon asked somewhat anxiously. "The road to return to the Dragon Island is still very long." Ao Zhon smiled bitterly. "Unless my clan can produce a great sage of the demon clan, how is that possible?" All the dragons were astonished. With the first step, it's always good. Take your time on the road from now on. Ao Zhon seemed to be extremely satisfied with this result. He waved his hand and said, "The problem now is to find the Crystal Dragon Scripture. If the Crystal Dragon Scripture doesn't return to the Dragon Hall, we still have to think of a way to leave the Dragon Island." "Yes, leader." All the dragons agreed and flew to the other side of the ring-shaped mountain. Ao Zhon flew in front of Xiao Hua and cupped his hands. "Reverend Xiao, I have received your grace again." Xiao Hua smiled and waved his hand. "This matter has nothing to do with me. It's because you didn't have any killing intent in your heart. You saved yourself. Furthermore, I have to congratulate fellow immortal Ao. Although you have yet to complete the heavy responsibility on your shoulders, the road has already appeared under your feet. Fellow immortal Ao, sooner or later, you will be able to bring our clan back to the 10 clans of the Dragon Island." Others may not know, but how could enlightened master not understand? "If it wasn't for your grace, how could I have such a fortuitous encounter?" Ao Zhon said very sincerely. "I won't say any more. I won't say any more." Xiao Hua knew what Ao Zhon wanted to say. He waved his hand and said with a smile, "If I can help you settle your grudges, how much less killing will there be in the future? How many fewer dragons would die?" This Xiao is very willing to accept this merit. "Things might not be as simple as you think." Ao Zhon smiled bitterly. "After all, my race has been at odds with the Dragon Island for many years. The 9 races of the Dragon Island, Pang Bai, Luo Luo Shrine, and Swan Ni have suffered many losses because of my race. Even if I offer the Crystal Dragon Scripture, the other 8 races will still try to stop me." "Nonsense, how could it be possible without obstruction?" Xiao Hua replied, "But since there is a righteous cause, they will have one less weakness to use against you. Your wish will come true sooner or later. By the way, since the Gui clan has been pardoned, what about the Dragon clan in the heavenly abode? What about them?" Ao Zhon was a little hesitant. "They are naturally a branch of my clan, but my Gui clan hasn't settled down yet. I'm afraid we'll have to wait for some time to settle the matter of the heavenly abode." "Wait until you are strong enough." Xiao Hua understood that the Gui clan had many things to do, and Ao Zhon was probably facing many more difficulties. At this point, Xiao Hua's heart suddenly quivered as he thought of Jiang Che in the Legacy Realm. After all, the appearance of Jiang Che and the other 2 heavenly abode dragons in the Legacy Realm was too strange. If no one had tipped them off, how could they have found that place? However, at this point, Xiao Hua felt that there was no point in asking Ao Zhon anymore, so he might as well keep this secret in the bottom of his heart. Ao Zhon nodded and looked at the restriction below his feet. The dragon patterns had already gathered into a black dragon, and its appearance was very frightening. Ao Zhon stared at the black dragon, and a trace of gentleness flashed in his eyes. After a while, he said, "This is the former patriarch of my Gui clan, Ao Qin. A dragon that could be the great elder of Dragon Island. When he was training in the stacked Jade Forgotten Realm, he used the strength of a single dragon to obtain the Dragon Jade and Crystal Dragon Scripture. According to his thinking, he would definitely be able to obtain the position of Great Elder because of this. But the Great Elder of that generation wasn't him. In his anger, he took away the Dragon Jade and Crystal Dragon Scripture from the Dragon Hall, and from that moment onwards, the fate of my Gui clan changed." Ao Zhon didn't say the specific reason, but he had obviously accepted the Great Elder's explanation. Xiao Hua sighed and said, "Perhaps Ao Qin was wrong, or perhaps the Dragon Hall was wrong, but what's right is the fact that has already happened. Our human race has a saying that it's never too late to mend the pen after the sheep are lost. Now that the bloodline of the Gui clan still exists, it's not too late." "Yes, I understand. The burden on this Ao's shoulders is getting heavier and heavier." Ao Zhon nodded. This Xiao Hua has other thoughts in his mind. At this point, he asked again in a low voice, "That's right, Ao Zhon, tell this old man the truth. Is the Great Elder's words true? Does he really not know where the dragon cleansing pool is? There are 2 dragon cleansing pools on Dragon Island. One is real and one is fake." Ao Zhon glanced at Xiao Hua as he replied meaningfully, "The one outside the stacked Jade Forgotten Realm is a fake. The dragon cleansing liquid inside was extracted from the real dragon cleansing pool inside the stacked Jade Forgotten Realm. This dragon cleansing liquid is the essence of the dragon domain. It can't leave the dragon cleansing pool. Once it leaves the dragon cleansing pool, it can't be called dragon cleansing liquid anymore. However, this liquid can still nourish and repair the body of my dragon clan, so Dragon Island still values this fake dragon cleansing pool very much. Generally speaking, the so-called dragon cleansing pool outside of Dragon Island is this fake dragon cleansing pool. As for the real dragon cleansing pool, Daoist Master Xiao, have you heard of the Ascension Pool in your Dao sect's immortal world?" "Ascension Pool?" Xiao Hua smacked his lips and said with a bitter smile, "This Xiao has never heard of it. This Xiao has only heard of the Lotus Cleansing Pool in Thunder Temple." "What's the Lotus Cleansing Pool in Thunder Temple?" Ao Zhon sneered, "That's just a bunch of bald donkeys playing reincarnation. How can it be compared to the Dragon Cleansing Pool on Dragon Island? If you want to compare it, it's at most similar to the fake Dragon Cleansing Pool outside of the stacked Jade Legacy Realm." Xiao Hua also looked at Ao Zhon meaningfully. Ao Zhon, who was only at the 6th or 7th stage of origin energy, seemed to care more about Dragon Island's reputation than the Great Elder. Even the Great Elder compared the Dragon Cleansing Pool to the Buddhist sect's Lotus Cleansing Pool, but Ao Zhon immediately stepped on the Lotus Cleansing Pool. It was probably because of Ao Zhon's understanding that the Great Elder was reassured to let Ao Zhon lead Ao Sheng and the others to find the Crystal Dragon Seal. "What does immortal friend Ao mean?" Xiao Hua asked. "It's said that the immortal qi in your Dao sect immortal world is very dense. Ordinary cultivators can't withstand the higher grade immortal qi after ascending to the immortal world. Therefore, every cultivator who ascends has to remodel their body in the Ascension Pool. The dragon realm of my dragon clan is half a level higher than the immortal world. The dragon cleansing liquid in the dragon realm can only be compared to the immortal molding liquid in the Ascension Pool. Does immortal friend Ao Zhon understand what I'm saying? So, after your dragon clan breaks through the void and reaches the dragon realm, you also have to use the dragon cleansing liquid to remodel your body." Xiao Hua understood. Ao Zhon nodded. Of course. Didn't immortal friend Ao Zhon feel that the dragon qi in the stacked Jade Legacy realm is several times stronger than on Dragon Island? And this is just a fragment of the dragon realm. If it were the real dragon realm, then the dragon qi. Yes, it should be called dragon spiritual qi. Then how terrifying would dragon spiritual qi be? Ordinary dragon bodies wouldn't be able to withstand it, right? Damn it. Xiao Hua gnashed his teeth. Your dragon clan's dragon body is already incomparably tough. If you remodel your body after reaching the dragon realm, how are the immortals of the immortal world supposed to survive? You humans don't really rely on your physical body after ascending to immortality. It doesn't make a difference whether it's tough or not, right? Ao Zhon replied with a smile. Don't try to change the topic. Xiao Hua snorted. I just want to know the whereabouts of the dragon cleansing pool. After saying so much, do you think the Grand Elder knows? Of course he doesn't. Ao Zhon smiled. If he knows where the dragon cleansing pool is, doesn't that mean he knows where the deeper Yuan is? Wouldn't he have found this place long ago? -13. Chapter 4028. With that, Ao Zhon glanced at Ao Sheng and sneered, Don't think that Ao Sheng knows that the crystal dragon is here. If I didn't deliberately lead him here, he wouldn't be able to find this place. Why? Xiao Hua was a little surprised. Ao Zhan looked around and actually transmitted his voice. The dragon cleansing pool, deeper abyss, and a place called the Mirage are the three most mysterious places in the stacked jade forgotten realm. The dragon cleansing pool is called the dragon cleansing pool because of the dragon cleansing liquid, which is the essence of dragon spiritual qi. It is the closest to the dragon domain. No primordial consciousness or divine ability can find it. Furthermore, when the stacked jade forgotten realm changes, the dragon cleansing pool is hidden outside the forgotten realm. And this deeper abyss. To be honest, it is the earliest place connected to the dragon realm. It can be said that it is the source of the dragon spiritual energy in the entire stacked jade legacy realm. If it wasn't for my clan leader, I wouldn't be able to find this place. What? This deeper abyss is the connection between the dragon realm and the stacked jade legacy realm? Xiao Hua was shocked and said, so, when clan leader Ao Qin came here. Yes, that should be what the old man meant. Ao Zhan nodded. However, without the strength of breaking the void, it is impossible to pass through this connection. Of course, even if you have the strength of a great saint, you may not be able to pass through this connection. So, no dragon has ever entered the dragon realm through this connection. In the past, I seem to have heard that this is a place to send messages. Of course, by the time of clan leader Ao Qin's generation, this connection was already broken. Sigh. Xiao Hua sucked in a mouthful of cold air, as if he understood something. Of his two broken dragon jade, one was from the Dawn Rain continent, the other was from the Little White Dragon, and the Little White Dragon was from the 10,000 Demon Realm. Those two places were not the Dragon Island, nor were they the three continents. Previously, the Great Elder of the Dragon Palace didn't ask about the origin of the Dragon Jade because they thought that Xiao Hua's Dragon Jade was only lost in the three continents. What they didn't expect was that Xiao Hua's Dragon Jade was not obtained in the three continents. If this deeper abyss was the passage connecting the stacked Jade Legacy Realm to the Dragon Realm, it was now closed. That is to say, the Dragon Clan wanted to go to the Dragon Realm with the two broken Dragon Jade. Because they failed, they ended up in the Demon Realm and Dawn Rain continent. What's wrong? Ao Zhan asked when he saw Xiao Hua's strange expression. Xiao Hua naturally couldn't pursue this matter any further, so he changed the topic and asked, what about the Mirage? I don't know. Ao Zhan shook his head. Back then, when clan leader Ao Qin divided the dragons, some of them fled to the Dragon Realm, while others fled to the Four Seas. I am a descendant of the dragons who stayed in the Four Seas. Only through the long bay that Patriarch Ao Qin had passed down did he know all of this. I don't know anything else. In other words, Xiao Hua smiled. You might not pass through Dragon Island and directly return to the Four Seas. Sure. However, the risk is extremely high. Ao Zhan nodded. There are some spatial layers around the stacked Jade Legacy land, and there are some distorted spatial veins that lead to the Four Seas. However, these spatial veins also lead to the void. Once we fall into the void, even if we have the body of a dragon, we won't be able to survive. Forget it. Xiao Hua extinguished the thought of escaping with the Long Yu and smiled at Ao Zhan. Fellow immortal Ao, you seem to have told me everything you know. Spiritual Master, Ao Zhan said with extreme sincerity. I worked together with Spiritual Master in the Legacy Realm, so I'm very confident in Spiritual Master's character. Back then, I didn't know that Spiritual Master also had the bloodline of a dragon. Otherwise, I would have communicated with Spiritual Master more. Furthermore, Spiritual Master wasn't moved by the bloodline of a true spirit in the Legacy Realm. I really don't know what else in this world can make Spiritual Master interested. If I don't trust such a Spiritual Master, who else can I trust? Now, if my GUI race wants to be ranked as one of the 10 races of Dragon Island again, not only do I need to cultivate to the Great Sage Realm, I also need more help. Spiritual Master has a bloodline comparable to Ao Sheng's and is favored by Menglong Hall's Great Elder. I naturally won't hide anything from Spiritual Master. Sigh. Xiao Hua sighed. He didn't really want to care about the revenge of the Heavenly Abode River, but he didn't expect to encounter the revival of the GUI race here. He didn't even have time to cultivate in seclusion, So how could he want to spend more time on these things? He didn't want to say anything more here, so he asked again, "Oh right, is there really a ruined dragon pill in the deeper UN?" "There is." Ao Jean nodded. Senior Ao Chin said clearly in the dragon shell that he saw the aura of a dragon pill here, but the aura of the pill wasn't particularly strong. He guessed that it might be a ruined dragon pill. "How many years has it been?" Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. "Is the dragon pill still effective?" Ao Jean shook his head. "I don't know about this. But this place is actually a fragment of the dragon realm, nourished by dragon chi. Even if the dragon pill is ruined, it should still be effective, right? However, spiritual master, this dragon pill, even if it's ruined, I'm afraid it's not something you can consume." That day, I spread the news just to encourage the human race cultivators. Sigh, let's take a look first. Xiao Hua waved his hand. "Didn't you hear what Great Elder said? Leave everything to me. If I don't go in and take a look, he won't let me go." Roar. At this time, Ao Sheng flew over from afar and asked, "Ao Jean, we've already rested. Can we break the seal now?" "Of course." Ao Jean looked at Ao Sheng and replied, "The dragon sons of the 9 clans of Dragon Island, release half of your dragon blood." "What?" Ao Sheng was shocked when he heard this. "Why do we have to release so much dragon blood?" "To break this seal, we need the blood essence of the 10 clans of Dragon Island. We already had some before, plus the dragon that fell from my Ji clan, and the 7 clans that didn't release enough blood essence. Especially you, your blood essence is the most important." Ao Jean replied without any trace of politeness. You. Ao Sheng was a little flustered and exasperated. But after he said a few words, he became dejected again. After all, Ao Jean's purpose of luring them here was to kill them and use their blood essence. Now that he was only allowed to release half of his blood essence, although it made his heart ache, compared to the previous deadlock, there was a fundamental difference. Roar! Ao Sheng roared, opened his mouth, and a stream of dragon blood fell like a fountain. The dragon blood fell on the black dragon seal, and the black dragon seal began to slowly rotate. When Ao Sheng was dispirited in mid-air, the other dragons also spat out their blood essence. The black dragon above the seal sped up and surrounded the ring-shaped mountain, forming a huge whirlpool. The hurricane above the whirlpool also took the shape of a dragon. Seeing Ao Sheng curled up and not moving, Xiao Hua smiled and said, "What's wrong? Didn't you just spit out a few mouthfuls of blood? Why can't you move? Spit out a few mouthfuls of blood for me to see. Spit out a few mouthfuls of blood for me to see." Ao Sheng shouted, "This is blood essence. I'm also a dragon. If I was a human, I would have died long ago." "Haha, you also know about dying?" Xiao Hua laughed. "Your dragon clan doesn't have pills?" "What pills do I need?" Ao Sheng said disdainfully. "If you want to eat, wait until you enter the deeper lake to eat dragon pills." Xiao Hua smiled, took out a jade bottle, and said with a smile, "This Xiao has refined blood replenishing pill. Do you want it?" No. Ao Sheng waved his hand. "This thing is useless to me." "All right." Xiao Hua nodded. "This blood replenishing pill is refined by this Xiao. It is most suitable for humans, but it seems that the Yarrow race can also use it. If you don't want to use it, then forget it. It's a waste not to eat it." Seeing that Xiao Hua was about to take the jade bottle, Ao Sheng raised his dragon claw and shouted, "Give it. Let me try. Just now I wanted to give it to you, but you didn't want to eat it. Now I want to eat it, but I won't give it to you." Xiao Hua smiled, pretending to take it and said, "Woo." A strong wind swept past, and Ao Sheng snatched the jade bottle. He put the jade bottle into his mouth, and with a crunch, his dragon teeth crushed the seal on the jade bottle, and the bottle of blood replenishing pill fell into his stomach. Xiao Hua was a little stunned, and slapped his forehead. "Damn it, this Xiao now knows what it means to be an old cow chewing peony. I am a little dragon, not an old cow." Ao Sheng shouted angrily, "I am a little elder of the dragon race, yet I can eat your pill. In the future, if you sell pills in the hidden immortal continent, this will be a big gimmick." "Ayo, what kind of pill is this?" Suddenly, the dragon chi around Ao Sheng's body surged, and layers of blood color gushed out from the dragon scales. When this blood color reached Ao Sheng's face, his entire face turned red. Spiritual Master Xiao. The dragons at the side could not compare to Ao Sheng, and their expressions were even more dispirited. Seeing Ao Sheng like this, they were all overjoyed and shouted, "Do you still have more pills? Can you wait for me a moment?" Xiao Hua beamed with joy and said, "Of course. However, this is the pill refined by this Xiao. In the future, you must remember it. Ian, this Xiao is now cooperating with Luoyi Merchant Union. If you need it in the future, feel free to look for Luoyi Merchant Union." Luoyi Merchant Union, okay, we will remember it. The dragons hurriedly urged, "Spiritual Master, give us the pills first." When Xiao Hua took out some blood-replenishing pills and gave them to the other dragons, the blood qi around Ao Sheng's body finally stopped. He blinked his eyes and asked puzzledly, "What's going on? It's obviously very comfortable, and my blood qi is surging. Why did my blood essence recover so little?" "Ha ha." Xiao Hua laughed and said, "Can blood essence be recovered by ordinary methods? That is to rely on one's own recovery. This Xiao's blood replenishing pill can only replenish ordinary blood qi. It is only somewhat beneficial for you." "That's not bad." Ao Sheng nodded. "Luoyi Merchant Union, I will also remember it. Spiritual Master Xiao, do you still have more?" "Indeed no more." Xiao Hua shook his head. "This Xiao does not use these things. They are all sold in Luoyi Merchant Union. Spiritual Master how can you play without them?" Ao Sheng shouted, "You have piqued my interest. How can you not care? There is really no more." Xiao Hua shook his head, and then mysteriously probed, "Of course, if you can tell this Xiao the location of the dragon cleansing pool, this Xiao will consider refining some more for you after the stacked jade legacy rel. -13. Chapter 4029. I also want to know. Ao Sheng smiled bitterly, "But I really don't know. If you don't want to give me the pills, just say it. Don't use these to brush me off." All right. Xiao Hua smiled, "I won't make things difficult for you. I still have some pills that I refined before. The effect is not as good as the one just now. I'll give them to you." Xiao Hua took out a jade bottle and threw it to Ao Sheng. This time, Ao Sheng did not act rashly. He raised his sharp dragon claw and opened the jade bottle. He threw a pill into his mouth. Sure enough, although there was some blood energy surging around Ao Sheng, it was much smaller than before. "Daoist Master Xiao, you are really stingy." Ao Sheng looked at the jade bottle in his hand as if it was useless. Excuse me. Xiao Hua replied, "This was refined when I was learning alchemy. Naturally, it can't be compared to now. Forget it." Ao Sheng waved his hand and kept the jade bottle. He took advantage of the situation and said, "No matter what, it's still a gift from you. It's not appropriate for me to not accept it." Catcher. At this moment, the black dragon that was spinning rapidly in the ring-shaped mountain suddenly made a crisp sound. Xiao Hua and the others hurriedly looked over and saw that the black dragon had actually split into two, turning into two identical black dragons. Roar! The two black dragons let out different rhythms, but they sounded exactly the same. Then, their huge dragon bodies stretched out from the two sides of the whirlpool. Ho! Obscure, different rhythms of inexplicable syllables were produced between the two dragon bodies. A layer of black and white light film was revealed as the dragon roared. Whoosh! The light film had just appeared when Ao Zhon, who was silent at the side, opened his mouth and a black dragon shell fell into the air. Pu. Ao Zhon also spat out a mouthful of blood essence that flashed with black light onto the dragon shell. The dragon shell instantly turned blood red and clusters of blood mist surged on the dragon shell. Woo! Two light threads stretched out from the black and white light film, respectively making different strange sounds. The light threads seemed to be attracted by the blood mist of the dragon shell and landed on the two sides of the dragon shell. The blood mist on Long Bay followed the light threads and landed on the light membrane. The light membrane seemed to come alive in an instant. Its flashing black and white wings gradually expanded and turned into a huge butterfly. Butterfly transformation technique? Ao Sheng was shocked. Ao Qin actually used the butterfly transformation technique in the restriction. Of course, Ao Jean said proudly, if it wasn't for me, even the Grand Elder wouldn't have been able to break the seal. Ao Sheng did not refute. It seemed that Ao Jean was right. Xiao Hua naturally didn't know what the butterfly transformation technique was. However, as the butterfly grew bigger, it covered the entire ring-shaped mountain. Roar roar! The two identical black dragons roared and rushed into the butterfly's body. The butterfly's body trembled violently for a moment before it pounced into the vortex where the black dragons had been. Puff! There was a strange sound. The butterfly fell, and the two black dragons' bodies quickly split apart along with the black and white light screen. Then, an extremely dense dragon aura rushed out like a tidal wave. This dragon aura seemed so strange. Once it rushed out, it was stopped by the restriction of the deeper Yuan. Therefore, a sharp whistling sound came from the ears of everyone and the dragons. Then, wong wong! The bodies of several humans flashed with an intense brilliance, causing everyone's expression to change greatly. Run! Ao Jean hurriedly shouted. This is the source of the dragon aura of the stacked Jade Legacy realm. Although you all have the bloodline of the dragon race, you are still humans. You can't withstand the cleansing of this dragon aura. Quickly hide at the edge. Yes. The group of humans did not dare to delay and hurriedly flew away. However, just as the humans flew away, the group of dragons could not bear it anymore. The dragons of the Hui race were the first to appear with dragon patterns on their bodies, and their bodies rapidly expanded. Ao Jean did not panic and shouted, according to the previous plan, you all will leave this place like those humans. Yes. The dragons of the Hui race responded and flew away. After the dragons left, the fake leader Ao Dao was left alone on the spot. Ao Jean looked at Ao Dao with some surprise, but did not say anything. He turned his head and stared at the dragon aura that rushed out, deep in thought. In just a moment, the dragons of the Dragon Island could not withstand it and left one after another. In the end, beside the light screen opened by the butterfly, only Ao Sheng, Ao Jean, Ao Dao, and Xiao Hua were left. Damn it! Ao Sheng muttered and moved closer to Xiao Hua, as if this was the only way to be safer. Ao Jean looked at Ao Dao, who was also flashing with faint black dragon aura, and said, Ao Dao, the dragon aura of the deeper Yuan has stabilized. If you can withstand it, follow me down. Yes, leader. Ao Dao said respectfully. I also did not expect that my bloodline could be considered pure and could actually withstand the remnant dragon aura of the dragon domain. To be able to follow the leader and contribute to the revival of my Hui race is my lifelong wish. All right. Ao Jean nodded and shrunk into his human form. He then opened his mouth and a dragon pearl flew out. Another dragon breath landed on it, and the dragon pearl turned into a battle armor that covered Ao Jean's body. Woo! Ao Sheng was not to be outdone. He also took out the purple dragon crown, and a light purple armor appeared to protect his human form. Ao Dao looked at Xiao Hua and hesitated for a moment before he also transformed into his human form. However, he did not take out any dragon pearl. Instead, he took out a set of slightly old black soft armor from the dragon shell. This soft armor looked very ordinary, but when the dragon aura of the deeper Yuan rushed into this soft armor, it immediately let out an indescribable dragon roar. The entire soft armor trembled slightly, as if it was excited. When Ao Jean saw this soft armor, his eyes flashed with surprise. Then, he looked at Ao Dao with even more interest as he put on the soft armor calmly. Then, a powerful aura spread out from his body. At this point, even Ao Sheng felt that something was wrong. His dragon eyes moved up and down as he stared hard at Ao Dao. On the other hand, Xiao Hua, as a human, had a faint dragon aura on the surface of his body. He did not make any special preparations and said, "We are ready. Ao Jean, will you lead the way?" Phew! Ao Jean took a deep breath and suppressed the doubts in his heart. He nodded and said, "Of course I will lead the way. Everyone, please follow me." With that, Ao Jean moved his body and landed at the entrance of the deeper Yuan. Woo! Just as Ao Jean approached the dragon aura that rushed out, the dragon armor around his body flashed with black dragon patterns. These dragon patterns were like wings and dragon whiskers, protecting Ao Jean's body. When the dragon aura blew past these dragon patterns, it produced a very ear-piercing whistling sound. Ao Dao flew down with Ao Zhon. His black armor actually turned into a dragon shape to protect him. The dragon shape flowed in the dragon aura like a fish in water. After Ao Dao, Xiao Hua and Ao Sheng flew down and followed the two dragons into the deeper Yuan. The deeper Yuan was a space with an inexplicable brilliance. These brilliances were like strands of light that collided with each other, and little sparks appeared at the places where they collided. Following the fiery threads and sparks, Xiao Hua could clearly see that there were countless vortexes in the space. In the center of these vortexes was a sparkling and translucent, almost invisible dot. The rich dragon qi in the deeper Yuan was emitted from these dots. Ao Sheng. Ao Zhon landed in the space and paused for a moment. He then flew in a direction and warned, "These vortexes are the crystallization of dragon aura. They are a great supplement for dragons who have broken through the void. But for us, they are a great danger. You must not let these vortexes touch your dragon body. Otherwise, your dragon body will definitely be blown to pieces." "I know." Ao Sheng pouted and replied disdainfully, "I have the purple dragon crown to protect me. There will be no problem. You should ask Ao Dao more." "Leader, don't worry," Ao Dao hurriedly said, "my dragon armor should be able to protect me as well." Ao Zhon responded casually and sped up. There were many vortexes in the space. They were like fireflies flying around without any order. Although the three dragons were in human form, they were still huge. It was inevitable that they would come into contact with some vortexes. Boom boom. Occasionally, there would be some rumbling sounds. It was the sound of the vortexes landing on the three dragons' armor. However, the explosion of these crystals was blocked by the armor and did not cause any harm to the three dragons. As for Xiao Hua, it was even simpler. Not to mention that his body was originally small, just using the ethereal steps was enough for him to easily avoid all the vortexes. After flying for a full 2 hours, he saw a black mountain rock in front of him. Many strands of light fell on it, and it was as gorgeous as fireworks. Ao Zhon and Ao Zhon stopped and flew down. In the time it took to eat a meal, the fireworks actually lessened. There were actually rocks with a radius of several miles on the mountain peak like a monster. Ao Zhon said, "It's close to the left." "Is it here?" Ao Dao moved forward and said respectfully, "This subordinate will help the leader take out the crystal dragon." "Good." Ao Zhon nodded. "After you take it out, give it to Ao Sheng directly." Ao Dao responded casually and flew to the front of the stone wall. He only turned his dragon head to look at it for a while before decisively flying to the upper left. When he came to a triangular protrusion, he stretched out his right claw. Catcher catcher, the stone wall that had been tempered by dragon spiritual energy for God knows how many years was pierced by him. As Ao Dao's dragon claw went deeper, a large amount of stone fragments fell and a deep hole of more than 10 feet appeared on the stone wall. "Wait." Ao Zhon suddenly spoke. Ao Dao was stunned. He unwillingly retracted his dragon claw and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong?" "Leader, could it be that this subordinate has found the wrong place?" "No." Ao Zhon answered indifferently. "You found it very accurately. The crystal dragon is here. However, this Ao has changed his mind. I want to take it out myself." "Good." Ao Dao retreated to the side and glanced at Ao Sheng from the corner of his eyes. -13. Chapter 40-30. Roar. Ao Zhon raised his head and let out a long roar, revealing his dragon form. Along with the appearance of his dragon body, the roaming whirlpools immediately rushed over like a swarm of bees, producing a series of rumbling sounds. Woo! Ao Zhon couldn't care less about these. He opened his mouth and spouted a strand of black flame along with the dragon breath, pouncing towards the cave dug by Ao Dao. Whether it was Xiao Hua or Ao Sheng, their gaze followed the black flame and fell into the cave. But just at this moment, woo! Another dragon roar resounded, another dragon flame and dragon breath that was almost identical to Ao Zhon's fell into the cave. Boom! Another loud sound resounded, a surge of dragon might emerged from the cave, rushing out like a flash flood. Ao Dao! Jean was furious and shouted, "What are you doing?" "I'm not doing anything." Dao didn't seem to be afraid of Jean. His gaze fell on the inside of the cave, only to see a crystal-like small dragon flying out along with the dragon breath of the two dragons. On the small dragon, one after another, thunderbolt-like dragon patterns crazily rushed out. Within the dragon patterns, there were scenes of small worlds appearing and disappearing all the time. "If you're not doing anything, why are you stopping me from collecting the crystal dragon spell?" Jean slightly narrowed his eyes, looking at Dao and asked coldly. Dao retracted his gaze, looking straight at Jean. He asked word by word, "I'm not stopping you, but I also want to collect the crystal dragon spell." "You, what right do you have to collect the crystal dragon spell?" Jean was so angry that he laughed. "Ha ha!" Dao laughed loudly, twisting his dragon body and pouncing towards the crystal dragon spell. He shouted, "What right do I have? Because I am a dragon of the Hui race, because this crystal dragon spell was obtained by the patriarch of the Hui race, Qin, at the risk of his life, I can't just casually offer this crystal dragon spell to the Dragon Island." "Woo!" Jean was furious hearing this. He swam his dragon body and pounced towards Dao. That incomparably ferocious aura immediately blocked Dao to the side. "Roar!" Dao bellowed loudly, pouncing towards Jean again. He shouted, "Jean, do you know what it means to obtain the crystal dragon spell? You are the descendant of the Hui race. You actually dare to take the proud head of the Hui race of the 9 clans of the Dragon Island." The pitch-black dragon aura around Jean surged out rapidly. The large number of vortexes rushed into the dragon armor formed by the dragon pearl. The dragon aura surged into Jean's body, causing his body to expand rapidly. Swoosh! With a deafening sound, Jean's dragon tail strangely appeared out of thin air. That dragon tail was like a pair of scissors that instantly slashed Dao's back. Dao let out a wild howl. The pitch-black dragon armor trembled, and some dragon blood flowed out from under the dragon armor. Dao! Jean didn't continue his attack. Instead, he said coldly, "I'm warning you. You don't have to say anything. I know what this crystal dragon scripture means. At the same time, I also know what the Dragon Island's 10 clans and Dragon Island's 9 clans mean. I naturally have my reasons for doing so. Since you know what the crystal dragon scripture means, then you should understand." Dao's body trembled slightly. However, he still shouted, "My Hui race obtained the crystal dragon scripture. If we can comprehend the profundity of the dragon race's reproduction from the crystal dragon scripture, our descendants will naturally be able to reproduce and prosper. Not to mention suppressing the dragon race, even suppressing the Dragon Island's 9 clans wouldn't be difficult. At that time, even if you don't want to occupy the Dragon Island, my Hui race can occupy the other Dragon Island. Who would have the patience to mingle with the Dragon Island's 9 clans? This crystal dragon scripture was obtained by Patriarch Qin and the others who risked their lives. They even spent a lot of effort to hide it here. With just a few words from you, you can easily give it to the Dragon Island. You! How can you face the seniors of my Hui race who died for the crystal dragon scripture? Dao! Jean shook his head slightly and sighed. "I know you have always thought of yourself as the leader. Normally, you would also command the people of my Hui race. When I suddenly appeared, you were very unconvinced. You are thinking too much." Dao said coldly, "Although you have never shown yourself, I have long known that there is a true leader like you. I have never been unconvinced." Dao replied very calmly, "I just don't understand. My Hui race has fought for so many years. Why is it that with just a few words from you, all the sacrifices we made in the past, are all for nothing? We have sacrificed enough in the past. This kind of sacrifice is not worth it." Jean said indifferently, "Not to mention the dragons who died in the stacked Jade Legacy realm, not to mention the dragons who died around the Dragon Island, just the dragons in the Paradise River were implicated because of my Hui race. How many dragons have died? In order to take revenge, how many dragons have died in the Dragon Palace of the 4 Seas? My Hui race can no longer sacrifice anymore. If this continues, even if we obtain the Crystal Dragon Scripture and comprehend the profundity of the Crystal Dragon Scripture, How can my Hui race have any more dragons to reproduce? If these sacrifices are for my dragon race, I have nothing to say. However, these sacrifices are purely for the internal strife of my dragon race. There is no meaning at all. You are wrong. Ao Dao shook his head firmly and said, those who can persevere must be meaningful. Although you are the leader of my Hui race, you cannot completely represent my race. You do not have the right to decide who this crystal dragon scripture belongs to. I want to take this crystal dragon scripture away and listen to the decision of all the descendants of the Hui race. You dare! Ao Zhan roared. The pitch-black dragon aura around him was like his soaring anger. Ao Dao was also emitting the same dragon aura. However, this dragon aura was clearly not as dense and pure as Ao Zhan's. Roar! Ao Dao did not say anything else. He bared his fangs and brandished his claws as he pounced towards Ao Zhan. As Ao Dao waved his dragon claws, countless explosions occurred around Ao Zhan's dragon body. The dragon horns on his head even produced black crystal-like objects. These crystal-like objects turned into huge spikes amidst the dense dragon aura and rapidly pierced towards Ao Zhan. Ao Zhan roared and similarly pounced towards Ao Dao. The two dragons actually started fighting in the deeper lake. In just a short moment, the dragon armor of the two began to tear apart. The dragon scales under the dragon armor flew everywhere and dragon blood splashed. Xiao Hua was somewhat dumbstruck. Looking at the crystal dragon scripture that the two dragons were fighting over, it was quietly floating in the air. Many whirlpools fell on it, but they only accelerated the birth and death of the small thousand world inside the thunderbolt. Xiao Hua urged his figure to fly over. Ao Sheng was very obedient. He did not go near the crystal dragon scripture and even avoided the two dragons' desperate fight. Xiao Hua flew in front of the crystal dragon scripture and stretched out his hand to grab it. Sigh. Xiao Hua sucked in a breath of cold air. Because in his hand, an indescribable burning sensation appeared. Even the dragon aura could not block it. Clearly, this crystal dragon scripture was not something that a human race could collect. Roar! Xiao Hua released the dragon vein Xiao Hua. The dragon vein Xiao Hua opened its mouth and swallowed the crystal dragon scripture into its stomach. Immediately after, it entered Xiao Hua's meridians. What made Xiao Hua puzzled was that not only did Ao Zhan not care about him collecting the crystal dragon scripture, even Ao Dao did not even glance at him. Fellow Daoist. Just when Xiao Hua was puzzled, the dragon vein Xiao Hua's voice sounded. This crystal dragon scripture is a bit strange. You delay Ao Sheng and the others. Wait until we get out of the stacked Jade Legacy realm before returning it to them. Xiao Hua looked at Ao Sheng who was sitting at the side and replied, if it was Ao Sheng and Ao Zhan, naturally it would be fine. But Ao Sheng still has the great elder of the dragon race in his body. How could he let I take it? I can take the dragon jade for you to comprehend. This is already the limit of his tolerance. How about? The dragon vein Xiao Hua hesitated for a moment. Fellow Daoist can comprehend it inside the space? This crystal dragon scripture contains a huge secret. I'm afraid it won't work. Xiao Hua looked at Ao Sheng who seemed to have regained his senses and flew towards him. He said in a low voice, I will deal with Ao Sheng. You quickly comprehend it yourself. I will delay it for as long as I can. All right. The dragon vein Xiao Hua said a word and did not speak again. Xiao Hua. Ao Sheng flew over and opened his mouth. Where is the crystal dragon scripture? This old man is afraid that there will be some unforeseen event. I will keep it first. Xiao Hua looked at the bloody battle between Ao Zhan and Ao Dao and seemed to reply casually. He sighed and said, Ao Sheng, tell me, these two dragons are fighting like this. Is it the saying of us humans that there is no need to be so anxious? Ari, of course it is. Ao Sheng also sighed. I also did not expect that Ao Dao would reject my dragon island so much. In his heart, there is really a lot of hatred. Daoist, why don't you hand the crystal dragon scripture to me first? Oh, don't be anxious. Xiao Hua waved his hand. Tell me, between Ao Dao and Ao Zhan, who is right and who is wrong? This. Ao Sheng hesitated for a moment and smiled bitterly. Actually, no one is wrong. Doesn't the human race often say that those who walk different paths cannot make plans together? These two dragons are probably like that. However, I feel that Ao Jean is still right. After all, what he did will allow many dragons to live. It is already difficult for my dragon race to reproduce. One less dragon is really one less dragon. It cannot be compared to your human race. That, can you? Without waiting for Ao Sheng to say more, Xiao Hua interrupted again. The problem is that this Ao Dao's strength is not comparable to Ao Jean at all. Furthermore, there is still a great elder in your body. No matter what, Ao Dao cannot succeed. Why did he choose to fight here? Ao Sheng's expression changed slightly. He shook his head and said, I don't know about this. Maybe he wants to take advantage of this crucial moment to threaten us. Xiao Hua looked at Ao Sheng with doubt in his eyes. From Ao Sheng's repeated requests, Xiao Hua understood that Ao Sheng wanted to get the Crystal Dragon Scripture. But why did Ao Sheng not go to get the Crystal Dragon Scripture at the first moment, but pay attention to the battle between Ao Jean and Ao Dao, these two dragons without any suspense? Xiao Hua did not have time to think anymore. He saw Ao Jean roar furiously from afar. The black flames around his body soared into the sky. When they fell, the black flames wrapped around Ao Jean like a black robe. Ao Jean's huge dragon body turned into a bolt of lightning and pounced towards Ao Dao. As for Ao Dao, he did not have any intention of dodging. He roared furiously and the black dragon armor grew sharp spikes. The dragon horns rushed forward and met Ao Jean's attack head-on. Not good. Xiao Hua was shocked. Ao Sheng at the side was also stunned. It seemed that he could not understand Ao Dao's actions. Seeing that the two dragons were about to collide, Ao Jean's body suddenly rose. Obviously, he did not want to kill Ao Dao. Ao Dao's body suddenly accelerated. His heart was facing Ao Jean's dragon horns. It seemed that he did not care about his own life. -13. Chapter 40-31. Pu. As the white horse passed by, Ao Jean's dragon horn pierced deeply into Ao Dao's heart. The dragon head that couldn't stop pierced through Ao Dao's body and tore it apart. It even brought Ao Dao's body and crashed into the mountain with a boom. You! Aren't you courting death? Ao Jean pulled out his dragon horn and blocked the falling rocks from the mountain. He shouted coldly, What exactly are you thinking? Chempage. Damn traitor. Ao Dao snorted coldly, I would rather die in the hands of the traitor than lower my head to the 9 clans of Dragon Island. Get lost. After I die, no dragon clan will interfere with your plan. You can obediently become the 10th elder of Dragon Palace. You. Ao Jean's dragon eyes were filled with anger. He shouted, If you have such thoughts, it's better for you to die. Ao Dao's dragon body slid helplessly on the mountain rocks. There was an unyielding expression in his eyes. Daoist Master Xiao. Ao Dao's low and powerless voice came, You. Can you take me out? I have something to tell Daoist Master. I don't want other dragons to know. Okay. Xiao Hua originally wanted to stall for time. When he heard that Ao Dao had something to say, he immediately agreed. He glanced at Ao Jean and Ao Sheng and asked, Do you want to come out too? Ao Jean hesitated for a moment and said, Daoist Master, take Ao Dao up. I still want to go down and take a look. Since Ao Jean wanted to go down, Ao Sheng naturally didn't want to be left behind. He replied, I'll go down too. Daoist Master, take Ao Dao up first. Okay. Xiao Hua took Ao Dao's body that was starting to feel cold and flew up the ring-shaped mountain. Just after flying for a meal, Ao Dao couldn't hold on anymore. He said in a low voice, Daoist Master Xiao, I can't go up anymore. Let's just stay here. I'll explain everything to Daoist Master. Okay. Xiao Hua nodded, I'm also very curious. You're obviously not Ao Jean's opponent. There's also the avatar of Dragon Palace's great elder beside you. Why do you have to seek death? It's very simple. Ao Dao said in a low voice, I have the same pure bloodline as Ao Jean. I'm also the leader of the Gui clan. Ah! Xiao Hua was startled and instantly understood. In other words, Although you are the leader on the surface, Ao Zhanji is the leader in the dark. But in reality, you are also the real leader. And, you are the real leader in the dark. You could say that. Ao Dao replied, the bloodline of the Gui clan can be divided into two. Ao Zhan and I should be the same dragon. As he spoke, the black gas around Ao Dao slowly receded. The black armor also fell off, revealing a dragon head that looked exactly like Ao Zhan's. Sigh. Xiao Hua was shocked. What do you mean? No one knows my true appearance. Ao Dao said, not even the second elder of Dragon Hall or the Dragon King of Dragon Palace. They only know that my bloodline is pure, they only know that I am a leader on the surface. I understand. Xiao Hua nodded slightly. I was forced by the second elder and had no choice but to submit to them. As long as I remain in this world, Ao Zhan will never be able to lead the Gui clan back to Dragon Island. Even if he really cultivated to the great sage realm. So, to fulfill his wish, to let the 10 clans of Dragon Island have true peace, I must die. Does Great Elder know about this? Whether Great Elder knows or not, I don't know. It's also not something I care about. Ao Dao squeezed out a smile. I can't even tell Ao Zhan about this. If he knows, there will definitely be a knot in his heart and he will definitely not be able to step into the great sage realm. But if I don't say it, who knows what methods the second elder and the rest of the dragon clan will use to deal with Ao Zhan. So, Daoist, I hope you can remind Ao Zhan when you have the chance. Why does it have to be this Xiao? Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. Because of Daoist Xiao's dragon bloodline. Ao Dao replied, and also for Daoist to complete Ao Zhan's true dragon bloodline. How do you know? Xiao Hua was shocked. I originally came from Ao Zhan's bloodline, my strength is similar to his. It can even be said that, we should be exactly the same, Ao Dao explained, and in the past, under the nurturing of the Dragon King of Dragon Palace, I was even a bit stronger than him. But now, his strength is more than a bit stronger than mine. Looking at his attitude towards Daoist, how can I not know? As for Daoist's bloodline, if I'm not wrong, it should be the dragon clans who clan. At this point, Ao Dao's face turned red. Xiao Hua knew that it was the final radiance of the setting sun, and Ao Dao himself was also clear. No longer entangled in Xiao Hua's matter, he changed the topic and said, the dragon armor on my body belongs to the Hu clan's patriarch. Daoist, please give it to Ao Zhan. About my matter. Daoist, please don't tell Ao Zhan a single word. Moreover, if the second elder uses this as an excuse to blackmail him, you must clarify for me. This matter is of great importance. Daoist, please help me, help my Hu clan. Good. Don't worry. Xiao Hua nodded, I will definitely help you with this matter. Moreover, I will also try my best to not let you die. No, I must die. Ao Dao hurriedly said, if I didn't want to die, why would there be today's matter? Daoist, if you save me now, you will be harming Ao Zhan and my Hu clan. Forget it. Xiao Hua understood and sighed. Letting Ao Dao breathe his last, he put his soul into the yin side of the space. Looking at Ao Dao's dragon body that was exactly the same as Ao Zhan's, Xiao Hua also put him into the space. This dragon body must not be allowed to be obtained by any other dragon clan member. Otherwise, it would be used against Ao Zhan for not being able to become a saint. Of course, this was also one of the reasons why Ao Dao painstakingly asked Xiao Hua to send him up. Xiao Hua packed up, took the dragon armor and flew down. As he flew, he shouted, green-robed fellow Daoist, you take control of the body. I will go and see the secret of the crystal dragon seal. As he spoke, Xiao Hua pulled out the green-robed Xiao Hua and sent the crystal dragon seal into the space. His mind also entered it. Jade Archive Xiao Hua's figure appeared. Looking at the crystal dragon that was still surging with endless dragon patterns in the air, he raised his hand and pointed. Jade Archive Xiao Hua's entire body turned into the shape of a dragon. As the dragon pattern changed, he gradually merged with it. Then, the entire space was gradually filled with a huge dragon-shaped shadow, just like a pillar of the sun's brilliance. About half an hour later, Jade Archive Xiao Hua's figure came out of the crystal dragon seal. In his hand was something that looked like a key. His face carried a kind of penetrating understanding. However, there was even more confusion in this understanding. The dragon-shaped shadow in the space also disappeared. Strange. It seems, this crystal dragon seal doesn't have any secret of the dragon clan's reproduction. How come there are some secrets of the dragon field? If I take this key. Jade Archive Xiao Hua thought to himself, damn it, even if I take this key, so what? I can't go to the dragon field anyway. What's the use of knowing this secret? But, since this thing is in my hands, can I still return it to them? These dragon clan members are scheming against each other. They are not much stronger than the human clan. Jade Archive Xiao Hua came out of the space. Green-robed Xiao Hua urged his figure to go deep into the deeper Yuan. After finding Ao Zhon, Xiao Hua raised the dragon armor and said with a smile, Ao Zhon, this is Ao Dao's battle armor. I think it's not bad, so I'll give it to you. Chimpage. Ao Zhon looked at the thick bloodstains on the dragon armor and sneered, who would have the patience to use something left behind by this rebel dragon? Hee hee. Ao Sheng laughed, Ao Zhon, this is the dragon armor of your Ji clan leader. I'm afraid Ao Dao got it from the dragon palace. If you don't want it, won't you have to return it to the dragon palace? Won't that be too convenient for the dragon palace? Ao Zhon muttered. He kept the dragon armor and asked, where's Ao Dao's corpse? What corpse is there? Xiao Hua spread out his hands. I originally wanted to send him outside, but I didn't leave. He couldn't do it. After saying a few words, the dragon chi was broken by the dragon spirit chi. He got lucky. Ao Zhon snorted and said, Daoist Xiao, don't talk about these unhappy things. There seems to be the aura of the dragon core below. It can't be. How can it be so easy to get the dragon core? Xiao Hua was a little happy. Ao Sheng smiled and said, Daoist Xiao, can you give me the crystal dragon seal? What's the hurry? Xiao Hua said impatiently, I'll give it to you when we get out of the deeper Yuan. Hee hee. Ao Sheng smiled and said, I seem to have suddenly thought of a clue about the dragon cleansing pool. I wonder if Daoist Xiao wants to hear it. All right. Xiao Hua hesitated for a moment and agreed. After Ao Sheng said a few words, Xiao Hua sneered, Ao Sheng, since you know this, why didn't you tell me earlier? Ao Sheng smiled. First of all, I want to say that I just found out about this. Secondly, I don't think Daoist Xiao has told me everything he knows, right? Xiao Hua didn't understand what Ao Sheng was referring to, but he didn't want to argue. He took out the crystal dragon seal and handed it to Ao Sheng, asking Ao Zhon, is there really a dragon core here? I don't know if it's a dragon core or something. Senior Ao Qin left the crystal dragon seal in the deeper Yuan, so he naturally felt the aura of this pill. Otherwise, how would I dare to tell Daoist Xiao about it? Ao Zhon replied, however, we're close to the folded jade forgotten land. There are broken space veins inside. Not only do we not dare to go in, even someone as strong as Senior Ao Qin doesn't want to take the risk. I have to go down and take a look. Xiao Hua pondered for a moment and said, you all have your gains, but I'm the only one who is empty-handed. Whether this pill is a dragon core or not, I have to get it. I'll go with you. Ao Zhon answered without hesitation. Let's go. Ao Sheng also didn't hesitate. However, as the two dragons roared and flew for a while, the dragon chi in front of them became more and more unpredictable. Moreover, there were hidden spatial veins appearing in the space. The two dragons almost fell into them several times. Thus, the two dragons didn't dare to move forward and waited on the side. -13. Chapter 4032. Xiao Hua smiled faintly and didn't say much. After moving stealthily for a moment, he immediately opened his illusion breaker eyes and saw everything clearly. He saw that this place was somewhat similar to the space vein that Xiao Hua encountered when he was in the nascent soul stage. Hidden void passages were connected together, and he couldn't distinguish where they went and where they came from. Moreover, within these space passages, there were some strange and incomprehensible brilliances that faintly appeared. Of course, this place was very different from before. Within Xiao Hua's illusion breaker eyes, There were countless splendor that resembled dragon patterns gushing out like a fountain. Each dragon pattern was so dazzling that Xiao Hua's illusion breaker eyes were somewhat sore. Moreover, each of these void passages was curved, and there were sections of pitch black where the curves were. Clearly, these were broken areas that couldn't be passed through. Even some of the passages that were slightly further away from Xiao Hua, there were web-like light threads that covered the entire path. Not to mention the dragon body, even if Xiao Hua used a transformation technique, he might not be able to pass through. The Dragon Hall's Great Elder is right. Xiao Hua roughly looked for a moment and thought to himself, this should be the location of the broken space. When it was intact, it should have been connected to the so-called dragon field. But since there is still dragon chi rushing over, it means that there are still some places that have some connection to the dragon field. As for the size of the connection, I can't casually judge. While speaking, Xiao Hua separated a trace of Yuan Shen. However, just as this trace of Yuan Shen left his body, a thunder-like sound rang out. His Yuan Shen was hit by the dragon patterns, and Xiao Hua was so frightened that he hurriedly withdrew his Yuan Shen. This is troublesome. Xiao Hua narrowed his eyes and looked at the web-like space vein in front of him. A trace of vigilance appeared in his heart. I can't even use my Yuan Shen. What else can I rely on? However, thinking about the temptation of the dragon core or the ancient golden core, and then thinking about how there was no warning in his heart until now, Xiao Hua's heart became lively again. He urged his body and carefully flew towards the place where the dragon chi was the densest. Xiao Hua's ethereal steps didn't require true chi. Moreover, he had a marvelous sense of direction in the void. Therefore, he was able to effortlessly fly towards the depths of this void vein that even the great elder of the Dragon Hall feared. If this fragment of the dragon domain was truly related to the dragon domain, then perhaps Xiao Hua's fleshly body could really transform into a dragon and enter the dragon domain. Unfortunately, Xiao Hua's figure was blocked by layers of fence-like light patterns in the time it took for a meal to fly in. This light pattern was black and white, and there was almost no space in the middle. Moreover, in this small space, strands of dragon patterns fiercely penetrated through. Clearly, this was the end of the stacked jade forgotten realm. Behind this light pattern was either a dragon realm or an inexplicable void. The black and white patterns of light did not flicker at all, as if they were engraved in that space. However, between the black and white, there was an absolute majesty that made Xiao Hua's heart tremble. Xiao Hua could sense the will of the world above the black and white patterns of light, but his delusion breaker Dharma I could not see any trace of it from the black and white. At first, Xiao Hua wanted to test the might of these light patterns with magic tools and other objects. However, when he sensed the powerful will within, he immediately strangled the thought of testing it. He didn't dare to imagine what kind of punishment he would face if he touched the might of the world. Of course, the moneygrubber Xiao Hua also wouldn't give up on any opportunity. He flew slightly closer to the light patterns. The dragon patterns that flew out from the light patterns were so sharp that when they landed on Xiao Hua's fleshly body, it almost gave birth to a pain of being cut into pieces. Xiao Hua knew that he couldn't hold on for long. Clenching his teeth, a strand of divine sense came out from the space between his eyebrows. Rumble. Just as the strand of divine sense came out, countless thunder-like vibrations instantly entered Xiao Hua's Niwen Palace. One after another, sparks that were 100 times more brilliant than the previous ones were born on top of the innate divine restriction. Outside the entire Niwen Palace, all the innate divine restriction seemed to have come alive and slowly overflowed on the surface. Seeing that the dragon patterns had actually activated the innate divine restriction, how could Xiao Hua dare to be negligent? The strand of divine sense hurriedly came out and landed on the black and white light patterns. Just as the strand of divine sense came in contact with the black and white light patterns, two indescribable ripples came out from the black and white light patterns respectively. When the ripples came in contact with the strand of divine sense immediately turned into countless granules. These countless granules then immediately disappeared into the dragon patterns without a trace. The strand of divine sense disappeared, but the ripples didn't disappear. Following the origin of the strand of divine sense, they landed on the space between Xiao Hua's eyebrows. Boom! There was a soundless muffled thunder, as if the entire world had collapsed in an instant. Xiao Hua only felt one black and one white, one from top to bottom, the other from bottom to top. All of his senses immediately disappeared, and everything ceased to exist. Looking at Xiao Hua's fleshly body again, in an instant, it was like a strand of divine sense. As the ripples entered his body, they turned into granules from the space between his eyebrows. Fortunately, although each granule was half black and half white, they weren't scattered by the dragon patterns like the strand of divine sense. Moreover, after the countless dragon patterns fell into these granules and caused the granules to shake, some more dragon patterns actually seeped out from the other side of the granule. Xiao Hua's fleshly body was almost destroyed, and the Tao foundation that he had cultivated for hundreds of years was even more annihilated by the ripples. However, just like the granulation of the fleshly body, after the Tao foundation was destroyed, it also left behind a tiny, almost inaudible dot, like a red seed. This unforeseen event came really quickly. Xiao Hua's mind didn't have time to hide in the space. He saw black and white filling his eyes, and his mind also became pure. He didn't know how much time had passed, maybe it was a snap of a finger, maybe it was millions of years, but Xiao Hua's mind already didn't have any concept of time. Suddenly, a weak voice sounded in his mind, "I want to go to Pingyang City to learn martial art. Actually, from the moment Lu Zhen met sister-in-law, I've been thinking about why we were bullied by others but didn't have the power to fight back. It wasn't until this time, when I was injured by the bandits when I was marrying sister-in-law, that I knew the answer. It was because we didn't have martial arts, we didn't have enough strength to make others fear us. If I knew martial arts, those people definitely wouldn't dare to attack us. Moreover, didn't Uncle just say that the bandits of Shikui Mountain might come to our door? There's no guarantee that we can always rely on other people's protection. Only by mastering martial arts can we truly face the bandits. Only by learning martial arts will I be able to protect myself and everyone else." This voice was so childish, but also so determined. Hearing it, Xiao Hua's mind, which seemed to be an idiot, suddenly woke up. Similarly, under the Tao foundation, the weak seed also began to beat. Is this my original intention? Xiao Hua asked himself. It was as if this distant memory had been erased from his mind, and was suppressed to the bottom of his memory by hundreds of years of radiant splendor and light dust. Is this what I did? Following Xiao Hua's rhetorical question, a series of familiar yet strange old memories jumped out one after another. These memories were not connected, nor were there any order to them. However, the more Xiao Hua looked at them, the more resolute his heart became, and the seed under the Tao foundation grew crazily, as if it had been watered with spiritual liquid. Previously, there might have been some flaws or cracks in the Tao foundation, but now they were all gone, crystal clear and flawless. Not bad. In the end, after the huge sea monster got the immortal morning pill, the light screen and memories no longer appeared. Xiao Hua suddenly opened his eyes, and an indescribable determination appeared like a mountain. I treat the world with kindness, I treat the people with benevolence, I treat the world with firmness, I treat the sun and the moon with sincerity. If I don't become an immortal, who will? Shua. At this time, in the space, where Xiao Hua of the Way of the Heavens was, an obscure fluctuation came out from the space and fell on the granulated Xiao Hua. The countless granules gathered together, seemingly to form a complete Xiao Hua. Unfortunately, just as Xiao Hua's figure was about to heal, another fluctuation came out from the black and white, and Xiao Hua's figure was forcefully separated. Just when Xiao Hua's mind became blurry again, the familiar flickering light in his childhood dreams slowly appeared. Under the fluctuation, Xiao Hua's figure finally became complete. Xiao Hua opened his eyes, and the flickering light in his eyes slowly disappeared. Then, Xiao Hua didn't dare to stay any longer, and urged his figure to fly back. After flying for a while, Xiao Hua's figure stopped at a place. This place was also a space passage, and Xiao Hua also knew that this passage was basically closed, and there wouldn't be any exit. However, Xiao Hua had a very strong feeling that there was something very important inside. Dragon core? Xiao Hua narrowed his eyes, and stared at the entrance of the passage. The entrance of this passage was a little strange, Several irregular light patterns were faintly discernible. These light patterns not only blocked the dragon aura from gushing out, but also covered up the remaining brilliance. It seemed that there was a lot of danger inside. Facing the strange light patterns, Xiao Hua already didn't dare to make any attempts. Previously, if there wasn't the fluctuation of light tracing, Xiao Hua would have already turned into dust. But if he had to give up the dragon core, Xiao Hua was also somewhat reluctant. After quietly observing for a moment, Xiao Hua found some opportunity. When the light patterns disappeared again, Xiao Hua didn't hesitate to urge his figure, and drifted into the passage. Just as Xiao Hua entered, the concealed light patterns appeared from another direction, and blocked Xiao Hua's retreat. So close. Xiao Hua let out a sigh of relief, and continued to fly forward. Not only the entrance of this passage was strange, even the inside was also very strange. It was like a winding path on top of a mountain, mostly twisted. This is. After flying for a while, Xiao Hua didn't even remember how many turns he had taken. Suddenly, a scarlet dragon shape appeared in front of his eyes. This dragon-shaped brilliance was too brilliant, dazzling Xiao Hua's delirium vision to the point of dizziness. Xiao Hua was greatly alarmed and hurriedly closed his delirium vision. When he opened his eyes again, he saw a palm-sized crystal dragon quietly floating in the air. And far away from the dragon, there was a fist-sized pill, like a stardust, slowly rotating. Xiao Hua's eyes lit up, and he stretched out his hands, one in each hand grabbing the dragon and the pill. -13. Chapter 4033. Xiao Hua's hand had just touched the medicinal pill. Wang. The medicinal pill unexpectedly issued a roaring sound like a magic treasure. However, even though the medicinal pill seemed to have spirituality and jumped a few times, it still obediently fell into Xiao Hua's left hand, smoothly exceeding Xiao Hua's expectation. But at the same time, before Xiao Hua's right hand could touch the crystal dragon, roar. The crystal dragon suddenly moved, turning into a stream of light and flying in the direction Xiao Hua came from. Damn it. Although Xiao Hua had obtained the medicinal pills, he still felt very uncomfortable seeing the little crystal dragon fly away. Cursing under his breath, he sent the medicinal pills into his space and chased after it. After chasing for a while, Xiao Hua suddenly realized that the path the crystal dragon flew was exactly the same as the path he flew in. Even when he came in previously, it would appear again when he stopped at certain places. Damn it, it can't be. Xiao Hua woke up. Could it be, this crystal dragon accidentally entered this space passage? It has been waiting for a dragon to come and find it. If this crystal dragon is like this, then what about the dragon pill? Could it have also entered here by mistake? While Xiao Hua was thinking, the crystal dragon had already flown out of the light pattern. The timing was really just right. Xiao Hua had no choice but to wait at the place where the light pattern was, waiting for the next time to disappear before coming out of the space passage. After coming out, Xiao Hua flew out of the space passage and flew towards where Ao Sheng and Ao Zhong were. However, when Xiao Hua flew back, Ao Sheng and Ao Zhong were already gone. Chimpage. Xiao Hua sneered. Needless to say, the crystal dragon must have appeared. The two dragons chased after it at the same time. Neither of them wanted this mysterious dragon to fall into the other's hands. Xiao Hua stopped for a while, then flew towards the entrance of the deeper lock. After leaving the ring-shaped mountain, the restrictions that were previously all over the place had disappeared. Xiao Hua released his Yuanshan, but he didn't see any dragons, monsters, or humans around. It was quiet. Xiao Hua thought for a while, then sat down cross-legged and his mind entered the space. In the space, the pill he just received turned into a flame that was dozens of feet large and floated in the air. On the surface of the flame, there were tens of thousands of tiny vortexes. In the center of these vortexes were strands of crystal silk, which was the unique brilliance of the space. This. Jade Archive. Xiao Hua looked at the huge medicinal pill, and his face immediately showed an expression of not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Damn it, this might really be a dragon pill. The elixir refined by the dragon god in the dragon domain. Even if it was not consumed by the dragon race, It was definitely not something that ordinary Dao sect cultivators could consume. With such a tremendous medicinal strength, even if it was me, I would still explode from the medicinal strength. If I had guessed correctly, the pill from the upper realm must have been left behind in the space vein and was flushed into the space passage with no exit by the dragon chi. Now, I had obtained it by chance. Sigh, what a pity. So what if I get it? Just look at it and don't consume it. As he spoke, Xiao Hua saw Xiao Guo, who had always been diligent, standing there and looking at the medicinal pill as if she was worshipping it. Her eyes were filled with shock. Oh! Xiao Guo, what did you see? Jade Archive Xiao Hua asked curiously. Reporting to Master, Xiao Guo's gaze was reluctant to move away from the medicinal pill, and she replied, I saw the alchemy technique that Master taught me before in the flames, and I also saw other alchemy techniques that I have never learned before. It can be like this. Jade Archive Xiao Hua looked at the flaming medicinal pill in disbelief. Unfortunately, even if he was Jade Archive Xiao Hua, he still could not see anything from the flames. Master, Xiao Guo asked timidly, can I use those alchemy techniques to refine medicinal pills? Of course you can, why not? Jade Archive Xiao Hua immediately replied with a smile, Xiao Guo, the more you can refine and better medicinal pills, the happier this old man will be. Thank you, Master. Xiao Guo was overjoyed and looked at the sky with even more focus. Sigh, I worked hard for nothing. Jade Archive Xiao Hua sighed and withdrew from the space. After waiting for another half a day, seeing that Ao Sheng and Ao Zhon had not returned, Xiao Hua stood up and smiled, Hehe, since Ao Sheng is not coming back, then don't blame this Xiao for not keeping his promise. This Xiao will go find the dragon cleansing pool myself. Xiao Hua originally did not know where the dragon cleansing pool was. In the deeper lake, he had forced Ao Sheng to reveal some vague clues. At that time, Ao Sheng had agreed to go with Xiao Hua, but now that there was an unforeseen event, Xiao Hua could only look for it himself. Beside a stream, outside two mountains, 3 dragons playing with a pearl, for seasons alternating, Xiao Hua randomly picked a direction and flew, pondering as he flew. What does this mean? Is it the location of the dragon cleansing pool, or the place where it appears? This sentence was naturally transmitted to Xiao Hua by Ao Sheng, but unfortunately, Xiao Hua still did not understand the meaning of this sentence. After flying for the time it took to eat a meal, Xiao Hua frowned and descended from the sky. This was because below him, in the valley, there were not only huge amounts of dragon crystals, but also dozens of badly mutilated dragon bodies. Just like what he saw before, many of the dragon bodies had their hearts cut by sharp blades. Sigh, the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas. After witnessing the confrontation between Ao Zhon, Ao Dao, and the Dragon Hall's Great Elder, Xiao Hua increasingly felt that the dragon race was much smarter than ordinary monster race. In terms of scheming, they even surpassed the human race. Since the Dragon Island was like this, then how bad could the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas be? Xiao Hua could not help but sigh inwardly, this must be for some benefits. They recklessly attacked in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. Xiao Hua collected the dozens of dragon bodies, and also collected the huge amount of huge rocks. Only then did he fly into the sky and fly far away. Right after Xiao Hua flew away, a strange shadow slowly rose from the depression in the mountain peak in the distance. It stared at Xiao Hua's back for a long time. Xiao Hua naturally did not know that there was a shadow behind him that even his own Yuan Shen did not notice. He only released his Yuan Shen to explore the surroundings. After all, in the verse, there was beside a stream, so he naturally had to find the stream first. The stacked Jade Legacy realm was very strange. There was no stream at all, let alone a lake. This was very inconsistent with the Dragon Island located in the Four Seas. It was also because of this that Xiao Hua was confident that he could find the dragon cleansing pool. After all, as long as he could see the stream, it meant that the dragon cleansing pool was close by. After flying for a few more days, Xiao Hua did not find the stream, but he did find a lot of dragon crystals and piled them up in the space. On this day, another winding mountain range appeared. Without waiting for Xiao Hua to stop, a few unfamiliar Yuan Shen swept over from the mountain range. When these Yuan Shen swept past Xiao Hua, They immediately locked onto Xiao Hua. A few dragon roars could be heard from below the mountain range. 5 huge dragons of different colors surrounded Xiao Hua with clouds. The light red dragon in front opened its mouth and shouted loudly, "Are you Dao sect Xiao Hua?" Just when the Yuan Shen locked onto Xiao Hua already sensed that something was wrong. Unfortunately, his flying technique was not fast enough in this place. The 5 huge dragons easily surrounded him. When he heard the huge dragon speak, Xiao Hua's heart skipped a beat. He knew that he had encountered trouble. He pondered for a bit, then cupped his hands and said, "That's right, I am Xiao Hua. I wonder why fellow immortal is looking for I. Where's Ao Sheng?" Another dark blue huge dragon released his Yuanshan and looked around, then asked. Xiao Hua shook his head, "I was with Ao Sheng earlier, but for some reason, he suddenly left because of some matters. After that, I never saw him again. Haha, I'm afraid he has already died in the experimental learning." A yellow huge dragon laughed loudly. "Ao Sheng's life and death has nothing to do with you or me." The huge dragon that spoke first said, "We only need to kill him. Mph, just a human cultivator. I don't know how you got the favor of the Dragon Palace Elder to actually come to the stacked Jade Legacy realm for experimental learning." A light gray huge dragon seemed to be very dissatisfied with Xiao Hua entering the stacked Jade Legacy realm first. He snorted coldly, like a huge thunderbolt, and muttered. The last purple huge dragon that didn't speak until now said coldly, "Why are you saying so much? Just kill this despicable human. Second brother already passed the information to us. If he didn't ruin things, this king could have completely taken over the Heavenly Abode River after returning to the Dragon Palace from the Dragon Island. And now, all the credit is taken away by second brother. You." Hearing the purple huge dragon's words, Xiao Hua was shocked. He hurriedly shouted, "You are the dragon race of the North Sea Dragon Palace? You are the 7th Prince Bayan?" Roar. Hearing Xiao Hua call him Bayan, the 7th Prince was furious. He raised his head and roared, "Human, this daddy is the 7th Prince of the North Sea Dragon Palace, Ao Zheng. Don't associate this daddy with that tiger-shaped thing. That thing is only this daddy's descendant, it is only fit to be carried in the mortal world's government." Xiao Hua's eyes turned quickly, looking around, he said with some fear, "Since the 2nd Prince has already returned to the Dragon Palace, then the dragon race of the Heavenly Abode River was also captured by him. What's the use of venting your anger on I now? Damn human, you ruined my North Sea Dragon Palace's great matter, ruined this king's good thing. How can this king spare you?" Ao Zheng roared, waving his dragon claws. He shouted at the other dragons, "Don't talk to him anymore, Ao Yang, you and the others attack. After looking for him for so many days, he finally ran into our subordinates, don't let him escape." Roar. The 4 huge dragons roared, baring their fangs and claws as they rushed towards Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua's eyes flashed fiercely as he saw that this was not going to end well. With a loud shout, he took out the wishful staff and flew towards the light grey dragon, Ao Yang, without activating the Heavenly Law's embodiment technique. Although Xiao Hua's figure was tall and thin, in front of Ao Yang's gigantic dragon form, he was truly insignificant. However, the dragon aura around Ao Yang's body surged, filling up the space within 1,000 feet. When Xiao Hua neared, a fishy smell came from within the dragon scales. The dragon claws seemed to be piercing through tens of thousands of sharp swords, enveloping Xiao Hua's surroundings and piercing towards him. -13. Chapter 40-34. Woo! The wishful steel staff stirred the dragon chi and smashed into Ao Yang's dragon claw. Before it could get close, the wind from the dragon claw was extinguished. Moreover, just as Ao Yang was shocked and wanted to avoid the wishful steel staff and grab Xiao Hua's body, the wishful steel staff hit the side of the dragon claw at an extremely strange angle. Ah! Ao Yang screamed and the dragon claw immediately collapsed. Looking at Xiao Hua again, his figure suddenly urged, wanting to use the power of the staff to escape the encirclement of the 5 dragons. Ha ha ha! Unfortunately, before Xiao Hua could fly more than 100 feet, a thunderous cyan spear appeared in front of Xiao Hua. The dark blue dragon that was previously on the side of Xiao Hua showed a human form, and the long spear crossed the sky and pointed at Xiao Hua's chest. Second Prince is right, the human race is the most cunning. We just started to fight, and you want to escape before even a move and a half. This kind of thinking. How is this the demeanor of a master? Boom. Xiao Hua did not dare to neglect. He waved the wishful steel staff and sent the long spear flying. At the same time, his figure retreated. When he squinted his eyes and looked around, he found that he was still under the siege of the 5 dragons. Except for the position of the 7th Prince Ao Jing, the position of the other 4 dragons had changed. Even the 5 dragons had shrunk their dragon bodies and turned into human form in order to trap him. Grandma, this. I'm afraid it's a kind of array formation of the North Sea Dragon Palace. Xiao Hua was a master of array formations. Now, he understood at a glance and secretly complained, I'm afraid my plan to escape with the help of a small body will not work. Xiao Hua had already fought with Ao Yang. Although he injured Ao Yang, now looking at Ao Yang's indifferent appearance and the teasing look in her eyes, it was obvious that he had deliberately injured himself before to reveal his true purpose. Xiao Hua was now accustomed to the cunning of the Dragon Clan. He roared and displayed the heavenly law embodiment technique. He waved the wishful steel staff and flew toward the light red Dragon Clan. As early as in the Dragon Palace Hall, the Great Elder had already told Xiao Hua about the strangeness of the stacked Jade Legacy realm. Naturally, Xiao Hua was already prepared in his heart. Although all magical powers such as divine thoughts could not be used, he relied on the monster body and the dragon vein to still be at ease in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. He even broke Ao Jiao's Lihan Heaven. Xiao Hua gradually threw the Great Elder's words to the back of his mind. He felt that by relying on his own monster race cultivation method, he could also get whatever he wanted. But now that he had encountered Ao Zhang and the other 4 dragons whose elemental power was around the 6th or 7th grade, Xiao Hua realized that his monster race cultivation was still too shallow. Compared with these old monsters who had lived for tens of thousands of years and cultivated for thousands of years, he was too far away. Seeing that Xiao Hua had transformed into his Transcendent's golden body, the North Sea Dragon Clan knew that Xiao Hua had given up on escaping and was ready to fight to the death. The group of dragons also urged their dragon chi and revealed their dragon bodies. When the light red Dragon Clan saw Xiao Hua flying over, he also opened his mouth and a flame spear fell into his hand. He danced and fought with Xiao Hua. The North Sea Dragon Palace originally had a foundation. The dragons who could follow Ao Zheng to participate in the stacked Jade Legacy realm were naturally the elites of the North Sea Dragon Palace. The magical powers of this light red Dragon Clan were not inferior to Xiao Hua's. Under the dragon chi of the stacked Jade Legacy realm, he was even more valiant than Xiao Hua. Seeing that Xiao Hua was already at a disadvantage, Ao Zhang and the other dragons gradually relaxed their vigilance. The 4 dragons only guarded the 4 corners to prevent Xiao Hua from escaping and did not particularly press him. Xiao Hua seemed to be focused on the fight with the light red Dragon Clan, but the light in his eyes was still looking around. When he saw the 4 dragons relax, his figure immediately burst out, and the wishful steel staff soared, hitting the opponent. The light red Dragon Clan was naturally shocked. The long spear danced, and the end of the spear swept across. Boom! The spear collided with the wishful steel staff, but this time, it was somewhat beyond the dragon's expectations. The force from Xiao Hua's wishful steel staff was stronger than before, and the dragon's long spear was somewhat bent. The dragon hurriedly urged his dragon chi, and his strength rose again. At this moment, Xiao Hua's wishful steel staff shrank, and his whole body fell down extremely strangely with the force of the long spear. Ah! The dragon was stunned, but in a flash, he understood. His body moved, and the long spear chased after him. He shouted, "Second Prince, this cunning human still wants to escape." However, before he finished speaking, where the long spear was pointing, Xiao Hua's figure suddenly disappeared. Even if he swept with his primordial thought, he could not find any trace at all. Quick! In the distance, Ao Yang shouted, "Ao Ding, you continue to chase, I will chase above, don't let him create a diversion. Ao Yu, check the left. Ao Long, check the right." Ao Zheng's face was also red, and he seemed to be a little angry. He had been stable and motionless all this time, but now he could not help but move. He ordered and flew down. Seventh King Tilda the Yellow Dragon Ao Yu hurriedly reminded, "Don't worry, let's stabilize the formation, got it?" Ao Zheng waved his dragon claws impatiently, "You and the others, quickly kill this human." "Yes." Ao Yu and the others released their primordial thought to search around, and although Ao Zheng said that he would not move, his body still flew up. As he flew up, the space that was previously sealed by the 5 dragon auras began to have some gaps, and the dragon chi from outside began to pour in. However, Ao Zheng seemed to be a little anxious, and did not care about this. His dragon head looked around, worried that Xiao Hua would take advantage of the chaos to escape. Suddenly, Ao Zheng stretched out his claws, and a purple spear appeared out of thin air, piercing towards the slanted space above without any warning. Peng! With a loud sound, at the tip of the spear, circles of ripples appeared, and the space was slightly distorted. Behind these ripples, Xiao Hua's figure was revealed. That spear pierced into Xiao Hua's arm, and Xiao Hua's face was not only filled with pain, but also extreme shock. Ha ha ha! Ao Zheng laughed loudly, and at the same time, the 4 dragons who released their primordial thought to search around also laughed. They all stopped, and their figures cooperated with Ao Zheng, surrounding Xiao Hua in a formation. You guys already knew?" Xiao Hua's right hand landed on the spear that pierced into his arm, and he asked in surprise. Ao Zheng said proudly, "Cunning human, don't you know the magical powers of the Dragon King's 9 sons? Just now you called this King Bian, and in just a moment you forgot about Bian's magical powers?" Xiao Hua thought for a moment, and sighed. This Xiao really forgot. Bian is enshrined in the court of justice, naturally because Bian is very observant, and nothing in the world can be hidden from his eyes. So you, the Dragon King's 7th prince, also have this magical power. Since you know, then die. Ao Zheng laughed sinisterly, and his dragon claws suddenly became thicker, and even dragon scales appeared on the spear, and drilled into Xiao Hua's body. Xiao Hua sneered, and with a wave of his hand, the spear that had almost transformed into a dragon's shape was grabbed by the neck, and no matter how it struggled, it could not escape. Damn it! Ao Zheng urged his dragon power, but he actually could not pull out the spear, and he unconsciously lost face. He immediately understood that when he was plotting against Xiao Hua also played a small trick on him. Raw dragon patterns appeared on Ao Zheng's body, and he madly pounced towards Xiao Hua, and his dragon claws involuntarily exerted strength again. Woo! Xiao Hua suddenly loosened his grip, and his whole body floated away like a paperman, and disappeared in a moment. My lord! Ao Ding and the other dragons were shocked. If Xiao Hua escaped at this time, it would really be a big loss of face. Ao Zheng did not say anything, and a blue light flashed on his dragon horn, and like a thunderbolt, a brilliance flew everywhere, and the space around thousands of feet around was torn apart by this brilliance, but Xiao Hua, who was good at escaping, was not in this space at all. Damn it! Ao Zheng roared, and the dragon scales on his body emitted a rare purple cloud, and the entire cloud rushed into the space like a hurricane, wreaking havoc in places where the brilliance could not find. However, Xiao Hua seemed to have disappeared into thin air, and there was no sign of him appearing at all. Phew! Ao Zheng exhales and raises his head to look at the 4 dragons who want to speak but don't dare to. He suddenly laughs. Damn it, no wonder second brother said that this Xiao Hua is cunning. This king still unknowingly fell into his scheme. Forget it, why is this king wasting time with him? As he spoke, Ao Zheng opened his mouth, and a faint purple dragon breath came out, and then a fist-sized dragon pearl flew out, supported by the dragon breath. The dragon pearl's brilliance was faint, but where the brilliance went, all the dragon chi showed the shape of dragon patterns, and at the top of the space, in a corner, Xiao Hua's figure appear. Roar! The one closest to Xiao Hua was the deep blue dragon Ao Long, and Xiao Hua was at the edge of his perception. If he moved slightly, as long as the 5 dragons relaxed in the slightest, Xiao Hua would immediately escape through this gap, and Ao Long could not help but cry out in alarm. Xiao Hua sighed when he saw that the light had appeared and his body was exposed. Without the escape techniques that he usually had, In front of these 5 giant dragons whose elemental energy was around the 7th level, he was doomed. Ao Long cried out in alarm, and also opened his mouth, taking out a jade bottle-like dragon weapon, and then a brilliance rushed out from the dragon weapon, and the nearby dragon chi crazily rushed in, only to see a waterfall rushing out from the dragon weapon, smashing towards Xiao Hua. Seeing the surging water, each drop of water containing great power, Xiao Hua not only did not panic, but a trace of melancholy appeared on his face. In the past, he relied on the innate true water to kill countless enemies, but now, he was blocked by a dragon using the same Dao method. Roar! Xiao Hua did not dodge, and the heavenly law's embodiment of earth rapidly absorbed the dragon chi, and strands of dragon patterns also appeared on the surface of his bronze body. Swish! Ao Long's jade water rushed onto Xiao Hua's Dharma body without any suspense, and not only did countless water sparks appear, even the surrounding space was somewhat distorted by these splashes of water. However, what made Ao Long stunned was that Xiao Hua's body only flashed brilliantly, and the splashes of water did not cause any harm to Xiao Hua at all. -13. Chapter 40-35. No way? Ao Long was a little absent-minded. The dragon weapon in his hand also awkwardly stopped in mid-air. Of course, he didn't think that Xiao Hua's body would be reborn in the blood pool. How could his dragon weapon injure him? Woo! Xiao Hua took advantage of Ao Long's distraction and swung his wishful staff. Boom! It hit the dragon weapon. A burst of splendor splashed, like a silver bottle leaking. Countless splashes seeped out from the cracked dragon weapon, causing Ao Long to be flustered. I'll meet Daoist Master Xiao. The light red dragon Ao Ding hurriedly came out from the side. He opened his mouth and a fiery red ring came out. The ring rushed out and immediately ignited with flames. The flames were blue and purple, scorching the space within 1,000 feet. Xiao Hua sneered. Since he started cultivating, when was he afraid of going overboard? He was about to wave the wishful staff in his hand when he heard Ao Zheng, who was beside him, roaring, "Don't do anything. All of you go together. Kill him as soon as possible. Once this matter is over, we still have the more important 4Cs debate." Okay. Hearing Ao Zheng's anger, Ao Ding and the other dragons didn't dare to be negligent. They hurriedly urged their dragon chi and surrounded Xiao Hua. At the same time, they took out their dragon weapons and attacked Xiao Hua at the same time. Cunning dragons! Xiao Hua shouted. 4 7th-grade dragons actually besieged Xiao Hua, a human. If this spread out, I'll be laughed at. Haha, Xiao Hua, you're wrong. Ao Zheng laughed. They're only 6th-grade elemental energy. Only with the help of dragon chi here can they have the strength of upper 6th grade. Their cultivation should be about the same as yours. Moreover, do you think you can escape from me today? Can others hear your grievances? Okay. Xiao Hua narrowed his eyes and sneered. In that case, I have no choice but to fall out with the North Sea Dragon Palace. I don't have any face to begin with, so it doesn't matter. Xiao Hua, you're overestimating yourself. At this moment, Ao Zheng's figure also started to move. His ability was the highest and should be at the middle stage of the 7th grade of origin power. However, he was the same as Ao Jing. Other than the fact that he was a little angry previously and lost his composure, he did not particularly step forward during the fight. As Xiao Hua's voice fell, the bronze brilliance around Xiao Hua's body gradually retracted. Shortly after, his arms and other parts of his body began to mutate. Command edicts that were harder than sharp swords were born. An aura of disdain for the entire world was born from Xiao Hua's body. This aura grew denser and denser, and in the end, it actually forced the 5 dragons to fly back several thousand meters. Gah! Just as the 5 dragons were once again dumbfounded, the heavenly phoenix's demonic body, the phoenix parasol tree, appeared. The phoenix parasol tree raised its head and let out a long cry. The dragon chi in the surrounding hundreds of kilometers swarmed into the phoenix parasol tree, and the flame-like phantom around the phoenix parasol tree swayed wildly. Woo! After the phoenix parasol tree appeared, it did not give Ao Zheng and the other dragons a chance to catch their breath. It stretched out its twin thorns and the phoenix beak pierced through the void, directly pecking at Aou's forehead. The phoenix parasol tree's claws, which were even more arrogant than Aou's dragon claws, carried an unparalleled amount of dragon chi as it sharply scratched at Aou's chest. Roar! Aou was stunned at first, but then he went berserk. As he roared, his dragon body expanded by 3 times and he pounced at the phoenix parasol tree. Rumble! The dragon and phoenix fought fiercely, and the dragon chi exploded. Pieces of flesh and territory flew out amidst the explosion. Although Aou's dragon body was not as tough as the phoenix parasol tree's phoenix body, his control of the dragon body and the use of dragon chi far surpassed the phoenix parasol tree's. Although the phoenix parasol tree's dragon body was torn to pieces, Aou also used his dragon tail to entangle the phoenix parasol tree's wings. The dragon armor on his dragon head even took the opportunity to pierce 2 large bloody holes in the phoenix parasol tree's arms. Roar! Just as the phoenix parasol tree's left claw was about to pierce Aou's abdomen, Ao Ding roared and pounced from the phoenix parasol tree's back, flames shooting out of his mouth and nose. Damn it! Though the phoenix parasol tree wasn't afraid of the flames, he didn't dare underestimate Ao Ding when he saw his back. He spread his wings and ignored the injured Aou, preparing to meet Ao Ding's attack. But right at this moment, an invisible restriction appeared around his body like shackles, and began to restrict his movement. This is bad. Alarmed, the phoenix parasol tree hurriedly looked around. Ao Zhang, who'd been standing quietly, was now swimming around him with the other 3 dragons. Clouds of grey, blue, red, yellow, and purple surged out of the 5 dragons' bodies. These clouds intertwined with the dragon chi and spun for nearly 1,000 miles. The chains that were imprisoning the phoenix parasol were clearly born from these clouds. Damn it, so this is the real purpose of the North Sea Dragon Palace's dragon formation. The phoenix parasol tree finally understood. The 5 dragons had taken turns to attack him, but it was all a ruse. Ao Zhang's true intention was to trap him to death with the formation. Dragons were truly cunning. Caw! The phoenix parasol tree let out another long cry and flapped his wings. The binding force was greatly reduced, and he reached out with his right claw. An illusory figure suddenly appeared in front of Ao Ding's abdomen. Whoosh! A bloody gash dozens of meters long appeared, and dragon blood flowed out. Wounded by the phoenix parasol tree as soon as they met, Ao Ding hurriedly retreated in fright. Roar! Right at this moment, the image of an enormous dragon suddenly appeared on the phoenix Wu's back. As soon as it appeared, it immediately roared furiously, and then the dragon chi in an area of 500 kilometers seemed to have gone mad and charged towards the dragon and phoenix. Expanses of gorgeous multicolored light suddenly appeared around the dragon and phoenix, and rays of multicolored light were reflected from within the multicolored light. Dragon and phoenix parasol tree? Ao Zhang was shocked, and then greed appeared in his eyes. He roared, "Capture this human alive, capture this demon phoenix alive." Before Ao Zhang could finish speaking, a series of cryptic draconic words came out from the dragon-shaped phantom. As soon as the draconic words appeared, the draconic aura that was madly pouring in suddenly became violent. Balls of draconic aura that were dozens of miles long began to condense. Within a range of 500 miles, countless balls of draconic aura instantly gathered. These balls of dragon chi were like warriors, ready to pounce on Ao Zhang. Dragon! Heavenly draconic technique? Ao Zhang was completely dumbfounded. Not only did he not expect Xiao Hua to know the heavenly draconic technique, but he also didn't expect it to be so powerful. Run! Ao Zhang looked at the dense balls of dragon chi within 1,000 miles. His body moved quickly, and he charged straight up into the sky. As soon as Ao Zhang rushed up, a flaw appeared in the dragon formation of the 5 dragons. The phoenix parasol tree had no intention of chasing Ao Zhang at all. It spread its wings, and its huge body immediately rushed out like a meteor, flying in a certain direction. The moment the phoenix parasol tree rushed out of the encirclement of the 5 dragons, the balls of dragon chi within 1,000 miles suddenly disappeared at the same time. Ao Zhang had just rushed 10,000 feet into the sky when he naturally felt the change in the dragon chi. At this time, how could he not know that Xiao Hua's heavenly draconic technique was only half-baked and had no power at all? He was actually scared to this extent by Xiao Hua's empty fort strategy. It was really a disgrace to the dragons of the North Sea Dragon Palace. Chase. Ao Zheng roared and chased after the phoenix parasol tree without stopping. Ao Yu and Ao Ding dragged their injured bodies, and Ao Long and Ao Yang also roared as they chased after it. Although the 5 dragons were heroic, other than Ao Zheng, the other 4 dragons had the same thought. Damn it, how can we catch up to such a cunning human? Sure enough, in the time it took to eat a meal, Xiao Hua, who was in front of the 5 dragons, had already disappeared. The 5 dragons did not know whether Xiao Hua flew away or was hiding in the surroundings. Moreover, other than Ao Zheng, the 4 dragons did not dare to be too far away, for fear that Xiao Hua would take the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Roar! Ao Zheng let out a furious roar. He swung his dragon tail and flipped over a small mountain. He then flew to another place. The other 4 dragons shrunk their necks. No one dared to say anything. They followed him with their tails between their legs. 5 dragons with 6th or 7th grade essence energy actually let a human escape in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. If word got out, it would really be a disgrace to the dragons. 2 hours later, at the place where Ao Zheng overturned the small mountain, Xiao Hua's figure appeared. Xiao Hua, who had successfully escaped from the 5 dragons, actually had a vexed expression on his face. Damn it, this Feng Wu's incarnation was originally reserved for this Xiao to use when walking in the 1000 Demons sacred realm in the future. Now, it was actually forced to reveal by Ao Zheng. What a blunder, Xiao Hua thought to himself. But, if I don't use the phoenix body, what other divine abilities can this Xiao have? That demonic blade had just been activated once. If I activate it consecutively, perhaps I can kill Ao Zheng, but what about this Xiao? I'm afraid I will also fall into the demonic path, right? Sigh, now that I think about it, this world is really wonderful. This Xiao cultivated Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, demons, and other divine abilities, but here, I can only rely on the demon race's divine abilities to escape. Looks like the saying of the ancients, there's no harm in having more skills, it's really not wrong. Also, this Xiao has seen many demons, and each one of them is all brawn and no brains. But why is this dragon race more cunning than the other? From Ao Jing to Ao Zhon, then to Ao Zheng, one scheme after another. They are simply more intelligent than the human race. Fortunately, there's Ao Dao in deeper abyss who values friendship. Otherwise, this Xiao really wouldn't dare to deal with the dragon race in the future. Xiao Hua looked at the direction Ao Zheng and the others chased after him. After pondering for a moment, he turned around and flew in another direction. He found a coal and hid in it like before. He already understood that in this stacked Jade Legacy realm, the divine abilities related to the dragon race were the most popular. Now, although he had obtained the Dragon Jade, he only focused on the dragon transformation art. He didn't cultivate the Heavenly Dragon Jade technique in the Dragon Jade technique. Just now, when he was forced to helplessly by Ao Zheng, Xiao Hua suddenly thought of the Heavenly Dragon Jade technique in a hurry. Sure enough, although Xiao Hua didn't cultivate it, in this stacked Jade Legacy realm, when Xiao Hua slightly used the Heavenly Dragon Jade technique, it immediately had an inconceivable effect. Since that was the case, there was still time. Why didn't Xiao Hua comprehend 1 or 2 Heavenly Dragon Jade techniques before looking for the Dragon Cleansing Pool? -13. Chapter 4036. Xiao Hua hid in a secluded place and cultivated for more than a few months. A few months of time was really short for cultivation, not to mention the mysterious Heavenly Dragon technique. Xiao Hua only took a rough look at the Heavenly Dragon technique in the Dragon Jade and found 2 extremely simple ones. Moreover, he only tried them for a while before hurriedly flying out of the valley. After all, he didn't know when the training in the stacked Jade Legacy realm would end, and he also didn't know how long he would spend looking for the Dragon Cleansing Pool. Xiao Hua flew into the air and looked left and right. The scenery around him didn't change. This time, the interval between the changes in the stacked Jade Legacy realm was a bit long. Xiao Hua thought for a while and flew in a direction. Beside a stream, outside two mountains, 3 dragons playing with a pearl, for seasons alternating. Xiao Hua flew aimlessly as he muttered to himself. He scanned the area with his origin force to search for similar clues. Unfortunately, Xiao Hua flew for a few more days. Not only did he not find any obvious clues, he didn't even see a single dragon. He didn't even see a huge rock with a dragon crystal hidden in it. It was as if everything in the vicinity had been plundered by the dragon. It's a bit strange. Xiao Hua stopped in the air and pondered while pinching his chin. Could it be that in these few months, the stacked Jade Legacy realm has undergone some changes? Woo! Just as Xiao Hua was pondering, a fishy wind suddenly blew from high up in the sky. Xiao Hua was startled and hurriedly looked up. However, the place where the wind blew was empty. He could only see the disorder of the dragon chi and couldn't see anything unusual. Xiao Hua narrowed his eyes and stared at the sky. He was already on guard. The sound of the wind definitely didn't come from nothing. There must be a dragon hiding there. Xiao Hua seemed to have already seen the dragon's sharp claws. Xiao Hua raised his hand and prepared to attack the space between his eyebrows and open the delirium breaker eye. But at this moment, a very surprised voice came from afar. At the same time, a trace of origin will also swept over. Xiao Hua. Who? Xiao Hua's heart moved. He raised his eyes and looked towards the source of the voice. Following the sound of the voice, the dragon's aura that made Xiao Hua vigilant immediately disappeared. Daoist Master Xiao, do you still remember me? A voice that Xiao Hua found familiar came closer. When Xiao Hua saw it clearly, he couldn't help but be slightly stunned. He whispered, "Immortal friend Xian? Hihi, long time no see. I didn't expect fellow Daoist Xian to also come to the stacked Jade Legacy realm to train. Wasn't the person flying over from afar the former Western Sea Dragon Palace's vice-inspector, Xian Cheng?" To an old turtle like Xian Cheng, a few hundred years had passed in the blink of an eye. Xian Cheng still looked the same, turning into a short old man less than 3 feet tall. He still had a goatee on his chin, a pair of shifty eyes, and a medium-sized turtle shell on his back. It was exactly the same as Xiao Hua's impression. "I'm ashamed. Xian Cheng flew closer and cupped his hands. "I originally accompanied my family's 3rd crown prince to participate in Dragon Island's experimental training, but I didn't expect to encounter the opening of the stacked Jade Legacy realm. I was testing the purity of my bloodline in the Dragon Chi realm, but I didn't expect that I would actually reach the qualifications to enter the stacked Jade Legacy realm, so I also came in to train. However, this old man is slow-witted. After so many years, my cultivation hasn't improved at all. I haven't gained anything during this time." When Xiao Hua heard what Xian Cheng said, he disapproved in his heart. That year in the so-called Western Sea, he clearly saw how Xian Cheng performed. That by Hao Jiao, who looked a lot more powerful than Xian Cheng on the surface and was also a lot more scheming, was played by him in the palm of his hand. How could he believe Xian Cheng's words now? "That's right," Xiao Hua also said with a smile. "This Xiao is similar to fellow immortal Xian. I also occasionally entered the stacked Jade Legacy realm. First, I was thinking about how to escape, so how could I gain anything? Right now, this Xiao is waiting for the stacked Jade Legacy realm to close and leave. Oh, speaking of which, fellow immortal Xian, when will this stacked Jade Legacy realm close? When I was about to come, I heard my family's 3rd crown prince say that it seems to be closing soon." Xian Cheng replied. "Right now, the time inside the stacked Jade Legacy realm is already the same as Dragon Island. When it accelerates again, it will be the beginning of the stacked Jade Legacy realm's closing time." Xiao Hua frowned and said in confusion, "How can the changes of time be sensed?" "Oh, it's simple." Xian Cheng also concealed it and said with a smile, "There is no time in the 4 seas. Above Hidden Immortal, there are 4 seasons. When spring comes, autumn comes, summer comes, and winter comes, that is the sign of time acceleration. Change of the 4 seasons." Xiao Hua's heart jumped and he couldn't help but cry out. "Fellow immortal Xian, do you know what 3 dragons playing with a pearl is?" 3 dragons playing with a pearl? Xian Cheng stared blankly. After thinking for a moment, he shook his head and said, "This old man doesn't know what Daoist means by that. It's nothing, it's nothing." Xiao Hua waved his hand and said. This Xiao was just thinking of something else. "Oh, right, fellow immortal Xian, where are you heading to?" Sigh. Xian Cheng sighed and said. This old man entered the stacked jade legacy realm and hid in a place. Just now, I received a message from my family's third crown prince. He wants me and the other subordinates of the Western Sea Dragon Palace to hurry to the Turning Dragon platform. Although this old man doesn't want to come out, I don't dare to disobey the Crown Prince's orders. I can't not go. Turning Dragon platform? How do you know that place is called Turning Dragon platform? Xiao Hua asked strangely. Who would have thought that Xian Cheng was even more strange than him? Of course I don't know. But my family's third crown prince said the location and also said that the place is called Turning Dragon platform. Xiao Hua laughed self-deprecatingly. This Xiao thought too much. This Xiao thought that fellow immortal Xian was the same as this Xiao, entering the stacked jade legacy realm for the first time and not knowing where this place is. It's nothing. This old man is also very unfamiliar with this stacked jade legacy realm, Xian Cheng said with a smile. Before entering the legacy realm, this old man specially asked my family's prince. Otherwise, this old man also wouldn't know. Millimeter, since that's the case. Xiao Hua looked at Xian Cheng, who was smiling harmlessly, and said, "Fellow immortal Xian, you should go to the Turning Dragon platform. Don't let your family's third crown prince wait anxiously." As he spoke, Xiao Hua cupped his hands and wanted to bid farewell to Xian Cheng. After all, Xiao Hua's current strength had already surpassed Xian Cheng. He wasn't afraid that Xian Cheng had any schemes. Moreover, looking at Xian Cheng's slightly nervous expression, Xiao Hua also understood that Xian Cheng definitely didn't expect that he would be able to come out of the Western Sea alive. He was very shocked to see him. Moreover, Xiao Hua wasn't afraid that Xian Cheng would reveal this matter. After all, only he and Xian Cheng knew about the Western Sea. As for how big the Western Sea was, Xian Cheng probably knew much more than him. The mastermind of the Western Sea was Xian Cheng. If this matter was revealed, Xian Cheng would undoubtedly die. What was he afraid of? At worst, he could just say that he saved the Grand Mist Ancestor. Although the Grand Mist Ancestor also didn't know that he was still alive, he had already asked Daoist Master Qing Shu to recruit him several times. That. Xian Cheng raised his hand and said with some hesitation, "Daoist Master Xiao, please wait a moment." "Oh, fellow immortal Xian, is there anything else?" Xiao Hua asked with a smile that wasn't a smile. Xian Cheng hurriedly shook his head and said, "There's nothing special. It's just that when Daoist Master asked about the three dragons playing with a pearl, this old man suddenly thought of the Turning Dragon platform." "What do you mean?" Xiao Hua was somewhat puzzled. What does the three dragons playing with a pearl have to do with the Turning Dragon platform? This old man is only guessing, Xian Cheng said with a smile. According to my family's third prince's message, the Turning Dragon platform is a huge round platform, similar to a pearl. Moreover, the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas will be fighting on the Turning Dragon platform. However, no matter what, it should be 4 dragons playing with a pearl and not 3 dragons playing with a pearl. What are the Dragon Palaces of the Four Seas fighting on the Turning Dragon platform for? Xiao Hua was confused and asked curiously. Xian Cheng replied, "Daoist Master Xiao might not know that the Dragon Palaces of the Four Seas are led by the Eastern Sea Dragon Palace, but in reality, whether it's the Western Sea Dragon Palace, the Northern Sea Dragon Palace or the Southern Sea Dragon Palace, their strength is not inferior to the Eastern Sea Dragon Palace. Under the leadership of Dragon Island, the Dragon Palaces of the Four Seas seem to be very harmonious. On the surface, there is no change in the rankings, but secretly, there is no lack of competition between each other for this ranking. Of course, outside of the Four Seas, no one knows these secrets. That is to say, the Turning Dragon platform's fight is also one of the competitions?" Xiao Hua somewhat understood. "Yes." Xian Cheng nodded. Not only this time's training in the Folded Jade Legacy realm, but every time Dragon Island's training, the Dragon Palaces of the Four Seas will have this kind of competition. Every time Dragon Island's training nears the end, the Dragon Palaces of the Four Seas will find an opportunity to put their gains together and then distribute them according to the ranking of the competition. So much so that in the future, when there is a need for a ranking in many places, it will also be decided according to this ranking. Therefore, the Dragon Palaces of the Four Seas attach great importance to every training competition. As long as there is a contribution in the competition, the Dragon Clan will be rewarded. Speaking to here, Xian Cheng paused for a moment and changed the topic. Daoist Xiao, this old man previously heard of the grudge between Daoist and the Immortal Palace. Originally, I thought it was just the same name, but now that I have seen Daoist, this old man knows that Blackwind Ridge Xiao Hua is Daoist. If Daoist wants to safely escape from the Immortal Palace's suppression, it is best to form a good relationship with my West Sea Dragon Palace. With my West Sea Dragon Palace's support, the Immortal Palace will not dare to make a move against Daoist. Of course, this old man is saying this for the sake of Daoist and also for my third prince. If Daoist makes a contribution in the competition, not only will third prince benefit, but this old man will also benefit. This Xiao only has the strength of a little over 5th grade essence energy. How can I defeat the dragon generals of the Dragon Palaces? Xiao Hua repeatedly waved his hand. Xian Cheng smiled and said, Daoist's current strength may not be a match for the other dragon generals of the Dragon Palaces, but Daoist's potential is something this old man has never seen before. Back then, Daoist's strength. Haha, this old man knows. How many years has it been? Daoist is actually already at 5th grade essence energy. This old man does not ask for anything else. I only ask for a warrior for my West Sea Dragon Palace. How is the relationship between the West Sea Dragon Palace and the North Sea Dragon Palace? Xiao Hua frowned and asked in a low voice. Xian Cheng said without hesitation. Haha, my West Sea Dragon Palace is the West Sea Dragon Palace. Not to mention the North Sea Dragon Palace, even if it is the East Sea Dragon Palace, even if it is the Immortal Palace, my West Sea Dragon Palace will not be afraid. -13. Chapter 4037. Really? Xiao Hua reminded with a faint smile, I just offended the 7th prince of the North Sea Dragon Palace, Ao Zheng. He couldn't wait to eat me alive. Fellow Daoist Xian, you have to think carefully. Ao Zheng. Xian Cheng stared blankly and said with a bitter smile, how did you offend Ao Zheng again? The 7th prince of the North Sea is extremely narrow-minded and vengeful. Since you offended him, I'm afraid you won't have a peaceful day in the future. How about this, if you want to go to the Turning Dragon platform, you should first hide your appearance and wait for me to report to my third prince. If it doesn't work, don't blame me. If Xian Cheng agreed, Xiao Hua would naturally be suspicious. However, Xian Cheng declined, and Xiao Hua instead believed him. He might not go to the Turning Dragon platform to participate in the competition of the Dragon Palaces of the Four Seas, but he must go to the Dragon Cleansing Pool. The competition Xian Cheng mentioned was very similar to the 3 dragons playing with a pearl. Xiao Hua had no choice but to go take a look. Xiao Hua thought for a moment and nodded, all right, since that's the case, I'll go with fellow Daoist Xian. Xiao Hua agreed, but Xian Cheng hesitated and said somewhat awkwardly, I can bring you there, but I have to report to my third prince first. Deal. Xiao Hua replied straightforwardly, I'll do as fellow Daoist Xian said. Even if I can't participate in the competition of the Dragon Palaces of the Four Seas, it's enough for me to meet the third prince of the West Sea Dragon Palace. Fellow Daoist Xiao, please. Demonic clouds appeared under Xian Cheng's feet. He raised his hand slightly and flew away first. Xiao Hua narrowed his eyes and looked at Xian Cheng's back. He knew that Xian Cheng was rather unwilling, but he didn't care and urged his figure to follow. The two flew for a few hours. Xian Cheng, as he said, was not particularly familiar with the folded jadeite legacy realm. As they walked, they searched. Along the way, they did not see any dragon tribe. It seemed that the dragon tribe, who were training in the folded jadeite legacy realm, had gathered at the Turning Dragon platform to prepare for the competition in the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas. After flying for another hour, dragons gradually appeared in the same direction as Xian Cheng. Xian Cheng didn't greet these dragons and only flew forward with Xiao Hua. Seeing a screen-like mountain range appear in front of the two, Xian Cheng stopped and said carefully, "Enlightened one, please wait here for a moment. This old man will go and report to the third crown prince first." "All right." Xiao Hua nodded and stopped in midair, watching Xian Cheng fly away. Xiao Hua released his essence perception and looked around, trying to find clues about the dragon cleansing pool. Unfortunately, after looking around for a while, Xiao Hua frowned again. Although Xiao Hua had yet to see the turning dragon platform, there were already many dragons nearby. How could the dragon cleansing pool be in such a place? Perhaps this Xiao should go to the left side of the turning dragon platform to take a look. Xiao Hua urged his figure and flew towards the turning dragon platform. "Who are you? Why did you barge into the forbidden area of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas?" Xiao Hua had only flown a few thousand feet when two dragon generals appeared in midair and blocked Xiao Hua's path. "Forbidden area?" Xiao Hua looked into the distance and asked curiously, "The stacked Jade Legacy Realm is a place where we, the descendants of the Dragon Clan, train. When did this place become a forbidden area of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas? Does the Dragon Palace of the Dragon Island know?" "The Dragon Island does not know. The Dragon Palace even more so does not know." The two dragon generals' eyes flashed with ominous glints as they surrounded Xiao Hua from both sides. Cough cough. Not far away, Xian Cheng's coughs could be heard. He berated, "What are you two waiting for? This is a dragon general of my West Sea Dragon Palace." "Oh, so it is the West Sea Patrol envoy." When the two dragon generals saw Xian Cheng, their expressions relaxed as they said with a smile, "This immortal friend did not mention his origin. How can we let him in? He even threatened us, saying that he will report this matter to the Dragon Palace." "Hehe, Daoist Xiao is just joking with you, no need to take it seriously." Xian Cheng waved his hand and said, "You two go and patrol. This old man will bring him to see my third crown prince." "All right." The two dragon generals nodded and flew away. "Let's go." Xian Cheng brought Xiao Hua to the vicinity of the turning dragon platform. He stopped and said with a smile, "I will not hide it from Daoist Xiao. My third crown prince heard about Daoist Xiao's matter and felt somewhat troubled. My West Sea Dragon Palace is definitely not afraid of the Immortal Palace alone. But Daoist Xiao offended Ao Zheng, it is very troublesome. Third Crown Prince is not willing to fall out with the North Sea Dragon Palace in the stacked Jade Legacy Realm. So, no problem." Xiao Hua said with a smile, "This Xiao will just walk around nearby. In a while, I will just watch the show from the side. Daoist Xiao, don't be anxious." Xian Cheng immediately waved his hand and said, "Let this old man finish speaking." Although Third Crown Prince is not willing to offend Ao Zheng, he did not say that Daoist Xiao is not allowed to contribute to my West Sea Dragon Palace. Daoist Xiao only needs to wait by the side. If we need Daoist Xiao to take action, I believe that my Third Crown Prince will not have any more misgivings. All right. Xiao Hua did not really want to rely on the West Sea Dragon Palace, so he casually nodded his head. This Xiao will be nearby. If you need this Xiao to take action, feel free to speak. Then, this old man will go over first. Xian Cheng finally relaxed. He raised his head to look at a place and said, "North Sea Dragon Palace is over there. It seems that Ao Zheng has not come over yet. Be careful by the side. Just don't let him see you." Xian Cheng exhorted a few more words before turning around and flying away. Xiao Hua relaxed and looked towards the turning dragon platform. Indeed, it was as Xian Cheng said. This turning dragon platform was a spherical greenish-black round platform. It was several thousand zhong tall and towered on top of the mountain peak. It was very similar to a stone pearl. This round platform was perfectly round and flawless. It was truly a work of the gods. Damn it. There is a dragon pearl, but where are the three dragons of the three dragons playing with a pearl? Xiao Hua's eyes looked all around, but he could not see anything strange. Xiao Hua looked at the four groups of dragons gathered in the four directions of the turning dragon platform. There were also many dragons nearby who seemed to be watching the show. He prepared to leave. Right at this moment, woo! The sound of wind whistling flew out from the direction of the East Sea Dragon Palace. A huge dragon rushed onto the turning dragon platform. He looked around and said loudly, "This king is the East Sea Dragon Palace's second crown prince, Ao Cheong. I believe that all the dragons already know what is going on here. The Stacked Jade Legacy Realm is about to close. Our training in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm will also end soon. The training in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm is an extremely rare opportunity for us. I believe that all of you have gained a lot in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm. Today, my Dragon Palace of the Four Seas will also hold a routine competition in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm. We will once again distribute the treasures we obtained in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm. This king also does not want to go into the details of the competition rules. This king only wants to say that the dragon who can stand on the turning dragon platform in the end will be the final winner." Roar, roar. The group of dragons all roared, appearing very excited. Second prince. At this moment, a dragon general flew out from the North Sea Dragon Palace. He said somewhat timidly beside the turning dragon platform, "My seventh prince has not come yet. Can this competition be postponed? Ao Zheng is not here but you all are." Ao Cheong did not give this dragon general any face at all. His dragon eyes looked towards the sky and shouted coldly, "When Ao Zheng comes, it won't be too late to let him fight. But what if my seventh prince can't make it in time?" That dragon general endured Ao Cheong's forceful dragon aura and said reluctantly, "Hee hee." Ao Cheong sneered and said disdainfully again, "The competition on the turning dragon platform is the joint decision of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas. The dragon race of the Three Seas Dragon Palace has been waiting for more than 10 days. Ao Zheng has not come yet. Could it be that we have to wait until the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm closes? Moreover, who knows if Ao Zheng is afraid? Does he not dare to come? My East Sea Dragon Palace has plenty of dragons with intermediate 7th grade essence energy like him. It doesn't matter if he has one more or not, but..." That dragon general seemed to want to argue. Ao Cheong simply shouted, "Does your North Sea Dragon Palace still want to participate in the competition? If you don't, just go to the last place." "All right." The dragon general did not dare to say any more. He hurriedly returned to discuss with the other dragon generals on how to deal with it. Dragon warriors. Ao Cheong's dragon aura lingered around his body. His dragon aura soared into the sky as he said encouragingly, "The previous experience was nothing. The competition on the turning dragon platform is the real battle. Release your dragon aura, release your dragon aura. Let the heavens and earth tremble and let the seniors of the dragon region be excited." Roar. All the dragons roared. Especially the dragon generals of the East Sea Dragon Palace, West Sea Dragon Palace, and South Sea Dragon Palace. They urged their dragon bodies to pounce on the turning dragon platform. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws. They actually started to fight. As for the North Sea Dragon Palace, seeing that the Dragon Palace of the Three Seas had already made their move, they did not dare to hesitate. Under the lead of a 6th grade essence energy dragon, they also pounced over. In just a short moment, miserable screams and angry roars could be heard in the air above the turning dragon platform. Pieces of flesh mixed with dragon blood fell onto the turning dragon platform. Motherfucker Tilda Xiao Hua saw the dragon aura surging over like a tidal wave. That dragon aura and the strength of the battle were similarly spreading out in all directions like raging waves. He hurriedly retreated and secretly cried out in his heart, "How is this 3 dragons playing with a pearl? It's more like 100 dragons playing with a pearl. Forget it, I believe that there's no dragon cleansing pool here. I'd better go somewhere else." Daoist Xiao. Just as Xiao Hua was about to turn around, Shen Cheng flew over and said with a smile, "Now is a good opportunity. North Sea Dragon Palace's Ao Zheng is not here. Daoist should quickly take advantage of this opportunity to get on the turning dragon platform. If you can defeat a few dragons, my third prince will also gain face. Get on the platform now." Xiao Hua bitterly smiled. He pointed at the huge dragons churning on the turning dragon platform and said, How strong are these dragons? If I go over now, wouldn't I be killed for nothing? Ari, Daoist, now is a good opportunity to win in the chaos. Xian Cheng's expression slightly changed as he urged, moreover, Daoist's body is extremely small. There are also many opportunities for sneak attacks. If you don't go now, when will you? This old man has already reported this to the third prince. If you don't go, not only will this old man lose face, you'll also make the third prince unhappy. If the third prince gets angry. Xiao Hua's heart jolted. He thoughtfully looked at Xian Cheng and asked, if the third prince gets angry, what will happen? What will happen? Xian Cheng sneered, when humans get angry, blood will splatter 3 feet. When my dragon clan gets angry. -13. Chapter 4038. Roar. Just as Xian Cheng was about to threaten them, a shrill roar came from afar. Several giant dragons had already flown to the somersault dragon platform without waiting for the roar to land. The dragon at the front held a dragon shell in his claws. He arrived in front of the somersault dragon platform and shouted, "Stop, stop." However, the dragons were in the midst of fighting. Who would pay attention to him? None of the dragon clan members stopped. Second prince. The dragon raised his claws and took out the dragon shell. He shouted, "Look, the 7th prince of the North Sea Dragon Palace, Ao Zheng, and his dragon generals Ao Yang, Ao Long, Ao Ding, and Ao Yu have all been killed." As he spoke, the dragon shell flipped. The purple dragon body of Ao Zheng, the light grey dragon body of Ao Yang, the light blue dragon body of Ao Long, the light red dragon body of Ao Ding, and the yellow dragon body of Ao Yu immediately floated to the side of the somersault dragon platform. 7th prince. When the dragons of the North Sea Dragon Palace saw this, they immediately broke away from the fight and landed beside the remains of the 5 dragons. They all looked at the corpses of the 5 dragons in disbelief. Their faces were filled with disbelief. It's a little strange. Xiao Hua's gaze naturally landed on the corpses of Ao Zhang and the other giant dragons. Their chests and abdomens had been torn apart by sharp weapons. Their hearts and lungs were missing. It was exactly the same as the corpses he saw earlier. He could not help but feel puzzled. When the dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace stopped fighting, the dragons of the other 3 Sea Dragon Palaces naturally stopped as well. All the dragons looked at Ao Cheong. Ao Ying, Ao Qian. Ao Cheong flew out with a displeased expression. He looked at the dragon generals of the West Sea and South Sea Dragon Palaces and scolded, "Tell me, what's going on?" The 3rd prince of the West Sea Dragon Palace, Ao Ying, and the 4th prince of the South Sea Dragon Palace, Ao Qian, flew out with unfriendly expressions. The 2 dragons looked at each other and said in unison, "Ao Cheong, what do you mean by this? What does Ao Zheng's death have to do with us? If it's not you, could it be me?" Ao Cheong said angrily. There might be some casualties in the competition between the 4 Sea Dragon Palaces, but the 7th prince of the North Sea died in the competition. How are we going to explain this to the North Sea Dragon Palace? This has nothing to do with me or the West Sea Dragon Palace. Ao Ying waved his hand without hesitation. Ao Qian also denied it. Second prince. The dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace couldn't take it anymore. They all roared, "You must seek justice for the North Sea Dragon Palace. You must find the murderer who killed our 7th Marquis. As long as the 2nd prince can help the North Sea Dragon Palace, the North Sea Dragon Palace will compete with the East Sea Dragon Palace." Ao Bo. Ao Ying said coldly, "Are you representing the North Sea Dragon Palace?" No, the 3rd prince misunderstood. He looked at Ao Ying, then at Ao Cheong and Ao Qian. "We, the dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace, don't know what's going on, so would like to ask the 3 lords to help us. No matter which dragon palace can help us find the murderer, we will join forces with that dragon palace in this competition." This. Ao Ying, Ao Cheong and Ao Qian rolled their eyes. They naturally had to find out the truth about Ao Zheng's death. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to answer to the North Sea Dragon Palace and Dragon Island. What they cared about the most was the dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace. This was a force that could compete with the other 3 dragon palaces. Whichever side they sided with would definitely win this competition. I know. Suddenly, a slightly hoarse and excited voice came from below the turning dragon platform. The dragons could not help but be stunned, and their gazes looked in that direction. Wasn't the one who spoke Shen Cheng of the West Sea Dragon Palace? At this moment, Xiao Hua was still standing beside Shen Cheng, thinking about what happened. He didn't expect Shen Cheng to suddenly speak. Xiao Hua suddenly felt that something was wrong. Sure enough, Shen Cheng suddenly stepped back and distanced himself from Xiao Hua. He raised his walking stick and pointed at Xiao Hua. It's him. It's him. It's him who killed Ao Jing, Ao Yu, and the other dragons of the North Sea Dragon Palace. Shen Cheng, are you crazy? Facing Shen Cheng's sudden betrayal, Xiao Hua was extremely shocked and furious. He finally understood the purpose of Shen Cheng inviting him here. As long as he was killed, the matter of Shen Cheng barging into the West Sea Eye would definitely not be known by others. Moreover, at this point, no matter what he explained, there probably wouldn't be any dragons who would believe him. Shen Cheng's intentions were truly sinister. How is that possible? Ao Cheung's face was full of disbelief as he berated, Shen Cheng, he's a human. How could he kill 5 dragons around the 6th level essence power? The West Sea Dragon Palace's Ao Ying rolled his eyes and said anxiously, Shen Cheng, don't be afraid. Quickly tell us what you know. This king will uphold justice for you. When Ao Cheung heard this, how could he not know that Shen Cheng didn't know anything at all? He just casually pulled a scapegoat and confirmed the merit first, pulling a group of dragon generals from the North Sea Dragon Palace to the West Sea Dragon Palace. However, Shen Cheng's words shocked Ao Cheung again. Shen Cheng pointed at Xiao Hua and said, I'll let 3rd Crown Prince know. He's the human cultivator Xiao Hua. He's the best at concealing his cultivation. Previously, I saw him fighting with the North Sea Dragon Palace's 7th Crown Prince Ao Zheng and Ao Yu. However, this subordinate's cultivation was shallow, so I didn't dare to look and hid far away. Later on, this subordinate met Xiao Hua again, but I saw that he wasn't injured at all. If you say that he didn't kill 7th Crown Prince Ao Zheng, this subordinate definitely wouldn't believe it. Moreover, this subordinate also found out from his mouth that he has an old grudge with the North Sea Dragon Palace. Therefore, he must be the murderer who killed 7th Crown Prince Ao Zheng. That's right, Xiao Hua, it's Xiao Hua. A North Sea Dragon exclaimed. 7th King received 2nd King's message. This human Xiao Hua spoiled our North Sea Dragon Palace's matter. 7th King brought Ao Yu and the others to find Xiao Hua. This time, they didn't return. Indeed. Another unknown dragon below the turning dragon platform also came to a realization and said, this subordinate also met 7th King. He asked me if I've seen a human cultivator called Xiao Hua. That's right, it's him. All right. Without waiting for the other dragons to speak, Ao Ying waved his dragon claw and shouted, subordinates of the West Sea Dragon Palace, surround Xiao Hua and kill him. There's no need to ask anymore. Let's take revenge for 7th Crown Prince Ao Zheng first. Yes. A group of dragon generals from the West Sea Dragon Palace flew out from the turning dragon platform and surrounded Xiao Hua. Ao Cheung was somewhat puzzled and shouted, Ao Ying, even if Ao Zheng is looking for Xiao Hua, it doesn't mean that Xiao Hua is the murderer who killed Ao Zheng. Won't we know if we see Xiao Hua's strength first? Ao Ying replied sinisterly. All right. Ao Cheung was helpless. Ao Ying was right. If Xiao Hua could fight with a group of dragons, he naturally had the ability to kill Ao Zheng. But if Xiao Hua couldn't defeat a group of dragons, as long as they captured him, wouldn't they know if it was him after a little investigation? However, Ao Cheung was very suspicious whether Ao Ying would spare Xiao Hua's life and give him a chance to fight for the North Sea Dragon Palace. Seeing the West Sea Dragon Palace move, how could the dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace hold back? All of them flew towards Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua glared fiercely at the complacent Shen Cheng. He didn't know if Shen Cheng really saw him fighting with Ao Zheng, but the dragon generals of the North Sea Dragon Palace were right. Right now, he couldn't defend himself. Facing these dragon generals with ulterior motives, what other choice did he have other than to escape? However, if he escaped, wouldn't his crime be confirmed? Of course, this wasn't the time to hesitate. Seeing that dozens of dragons were already rushing over, Xiao Hua made a prompt decision. His body flashed with brilliance. He couldn't care about anything else and was about to use his phoenix body to escape. Roar! Just when Xiao Hua was about to expose the secret of the phoenix parasol, a dragon roar that Xiao Hua was familiar with came from afar. Wasn't that the small clan elder of the Dragon Island, Ao Sheng? Damn it! Xiao Hua was overjoyed and immediately wanted to transmit his voice. However, after the dragon roar, Ao Sheng's panicked voice had already resounded around the turning dragon platform. Run! Long Sai is here. What? Long Sai. As soon as they heard the two words Long Sai, all the dragons panicked. The dragons of the North Sea Dragon Palace and the West Sea Dragon Palace who were rushing towards Xiao Hua no longer had the heart to avenge Ao Sheng. They swung their dragon tails and fled into the distance like stray dogs. Seeing that his crisis was mysteriously resolved, Xiao Hua was really puzzled. Long Sai? What's that? The front of the turning dragon platform was in a mess. Xian Cheng had already escaped long ago. Ao Sheng and Ao Zhan appeared with dozens of dragons and humans in a similarly sorry state. Before Xiao Hua could fly into the air, in the space where he was at the same level as Ao Sheng, a loud and clear sound rang out. This sound was extremely penetrating. When Xiao Hua heard it, it directly pierced into his heart. Especially inside his body, his meridians were violently pulsating, as if they were dragon veins. Xiao Hua was very afraid of this sound. Not only that, when the sound fell, dozens of dragons near Xiao Hua who had just escaped immediately fell to the ground. Their dragon bodies twisted uncontrollably, their dragon claws powerlessly grabbing the ground. On the dragon heads that were struggling to raise their heads, a pair of previously incomparably arrogant eyes were now anxiously and fearfully looking at the sky. In the sky, the figure of a strange demon beast appeared. This demon beast was only dozens of feet tall, like a toad. Other than its abdomen, which was a little green and red, there were fist-sized bumps on its back. Between these bumps, there were many dragon carvings. These dragon carvings did not produce clouds, instead, they seeped out an extremely stinky liquid. This liquid drifted with the wind, and when it entered the nostrils of the dragons, it caused their bones to go soft and their tendons to go numb. Once the demon beast, Long Sai, appeared, it immediately pounced on the giant dragon that was lying limp on the ground. Long Sai's body landed on the giant dragon's dragon shell. When it opened its mouth, a long and thin crimson tongue stuck out. This tongue was actually also in the shape of a dragon. The dragon-shaped tongue immediately pierced into the dragon's head. Roar! The giant dragon wailed, its body trembling. However, as if it was an innate fear, the giant dragon could not move at all. Just as the giant dragon wailed and trembled, the giant dragon's brain matter was swallowed by Long Sai. Without waiting for this giant dragon to die completely, Long Sai flew to another giant dragon and greedily sucked its brain matter again. -13. Chapter 4039. Damn it, what kind of monster is this? Xiao Hua suppressed the fear in his heart and quietly flew into the sky. When Ao Sheng and Ao Zhan saw Long Sai flying out, they had already flown in another direction. Xiao Hua finally managed to catch up with them. Ao Sheng didn't have time to ask Xiao Hua how he came to the turning dragon platform. He only said with lingering fear, "This Long Sai is from the dragon realm. It was originally the food of the dragon race in the dragon realm. Who knows how it came to the stacked jade legacy realm? Damn it, how can the dragon race of the Dragon Island deal with something from the dragon realm? Run, hide, wait until the stacked jade legacy realm closes, then we will have a chance to survive." Just as Ao Sheng was reminding them, a sound that caused Ao Zhan and Ao Sheng's dragon chi to tremble came from the space above their heads. Long Sai, who had sucked the brains of dozens of giant dragons in an instant, chased after them again. Ao Sheng and Ao Zhan's bloodline was pure, They didn't go limp because of Long Sai's cry, but the other dozens of dragons and humans couldn't do the same. Their bodies trembled and fell from the sky. However, Long Sai seemed to be more interested in the pure-blooded Ao Sheng and Ao Zhon. It didn't care about the dragons at all. What was special was that Long Sai's grey eyes were also looking at Xiao Hua. Not good. This guy seems to have found my dragon vein. What should I do? Xiao Hua saw Long Sai looking at him. He couldn't help but be shocked. He then looked at Ao Sheng and Ao Zhon. They were all afraid. He knew that the two dragons couldn't win against Long Sai, this natural enemy, and he was afraid that only the great elder of the Dragon Hall could win. He quickly thought in his heart, I wonder if the great elder of the Dragon Hall can fight against Long Sai? If he... Woo! At this critical moment, the sound of wind whistling came from the sky again. Along with the whistling of the wind, thousands of clouds rolled, and the scenery on the ground began to blur. Under the power of heaven and earth, even the powerful Long Sai couldn't help but be swept up by the hurricane. Oh my god. The changes in the scenery are just too awesome. Xiao Hua hated the scenery of the stacked Jade Legacy realm, but now, he almost wanted to hug the crystal and kiss it a few times. The hurricane that changed the scenery was so big that it seemed to blow away everything in the world. Xiao Hua, who had just survived a calamity, danced with the wind in midair. Woo! After a while, a huge wind whistled over Xiao Hua's head, and the huge turning dragon platform floated away like a bullet in the hurricane. Xiao Hua's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly raised his hand and hugged the tumbling dragon platform. His entire body followed along. The changes in the scenery of the entire stacked Jade Legacy realm continued for a few hours. Only when Xiao Hua rolled along with the tumbling dragon platform did the entire process come to a complete stop. Phew! Xiao Hua drilled out of the mountain rocks below the somersault dragon platform with great difficulty. He patted the dust off his body and let out a long sigh of relief. Just as he was about to look around, his forehead felt cold. When Xiao Hua raised his head to look, he saw that the entire sky was covered in red clouds. Snowflakes that were like goose feathers floated out from these red clouds and began to cover the entire realm of stacking jade. The 4 seasons change. Xiao Hua smiled. I thought that it would start from spring. I didn't expect it to start from winter. In any case, since the 4 seasons have started to change, it's not too late for the realm of stacking jade to close. I can finally escape from Long Sai's strangulation. Huh! This turning dragon platform. At this moment, how could Xiao Hua still be thinking about the dragon cleansing pool? He was already lucky to be able to escape from Long Sai's hands. However, he inadvertently discovered that the huge turning dragon platform was strangely rolling towards the top of a mountain. This is 3 dragons playing with a pearl? Xiao Hua looked at the place where the turning dragon platform was rolling up and hurriedly flew up. When he saw the 3 mountain ranges that were like 3 huge dragons crawling on the ground, Xiao Hua's heart suddenly jumped. A kind of ecstasy surged in his heart. 3 dragons playing with a pearl, the 4 seasons change. What about the 2 mountains beside the stream? Xiao Hua hurriedly looked around, but he didn't see any other mountain ranges nearby. Creak creak. The turning dragon platform that had absorbed the blood essence of the dragon clan slowly rolled up the mountain, emitting an ear-piercing noise. Xiao Hua looked at it for a moment and thoughtfully waited in the air. Another hour passed. The turning dragon platform was like a dragon pearl that had stopped at the peak of the mountain, and the ground was covered with rare snowflakes. Roar! 3 faint dragon roars came from below the 3 mountain ranges. The ground shook slightly. The 3 mountain ranges trembled like huge dragons playing with a pearl. The turning dragon platform bounced up into the air, giving rise to waves of fluctuations. Dragon vein. Xiao Hua's eyes lit up, as if he had thought of something again. When the somersaulting dragon platform fell, a spatial crack appeared high up in the sky where the impact of the fluctuation was. 2 cracks in the shape of mountains appeared out of thin air. Hualala. There was the sound of water, and a clear stream flowed out from the spatial crack. Beside the stream, outside the 2 mountains, 3 dragons playing with a pearl, the 4 seasons chain. Xiao Hua laughed heartily as he flew towards the turning dragon platform. At this moment, How could he not know that the dragon cleansing pool was not within the realm of stacking jade, but within the spatial interlayer of the realm of stacking jade? Moreover, every time the realm of stacking jade opened, the dragon cleansing pool might not necessarily appear. Only when the turning dragon platform fell here, would the dragon cleansing pool appear. Therefore, Xiao Hua finally understood that even the great elder of the dragon palace didn't know where the dragon cleansing pool was. However, the direction Xiao Hua was flying towards was different from the dragon cleansing pool. His figure landed on the turning dragon platform. He looked at the turning dragon platform that was no longer fluctuating, then looked at the 3 dragon veins in the 3 mountain ranges. He hesitantly pinched his chin and pondered, "Motherfucker, isn't this Xiao being a little insincere? Ch, what insincere? These dragon veins are ownerless items. Moreover, the realm of stacking jade is full of draconic energy. It won't take long for another dragon vein to appear. Moreover, the Dragon Island hasn't found the dragon cleansing pool for so many years, isn't it not a big deal to them?" Thinking about this, Xiao Hua's figure fell into the mountain range and released the dragon vein Xiao Hua. The dragon vein Xiao Hua roared and pounced into the realm of stacking jade. It swallowed the dragon veins that had been growing for God knows how many years. Of course, Xiao Hua didn't kill them all. Instead, he left a tail for each of the dragon veins. Presumably, it won't take long for another dragon vein to appear. Of course, when Xiao Hua swallowed the dragon veins, he cautiously looked at the spatial crack and the gurgling stream. Only when he saw that there weren't any special changes did he relax. After swallowing the dragon veins, Xiao Hua stored them away. Xiao Hua flew towards the spatial crack that looked like 2 mountain peaks. Xiao Hua's figure landed in the space crack. Before he could see the situation in the space clearly, the roars of 10,000 dragons surged over like surging waves. These dragon roars were different from what Xiao Hua usually heard. Some were weeping, some were wailing, some were moaning, some were laughing, and some were whispering. When every sound fell into Xiao Hua's ears, the dragon vein in Xiao Hua's physical body would tremble. An incomparably solemn and dignified aura of heaven and earth, and a strict aura of order assaulted his senses. This aura was 100 times more intense than the black and white runes that Xiao Hua faced earlier. This seems to be the myriad dragon country. It seems to contain the profound mysteries of the dragon race's initial establishment, reproduction, and extinction. Dragon vein Xiao Hua whispered from the bottom of his heart, "There's no need for any dragon jade. As long as I can understand these sounds, I can step into the dragon domain." Not only that. The scholarly cultivator Xiao Hua, whose freedom had been restricted and who hadn't said a single word, suddenly opened his mouth. This young one has already sensed the boundless vitality within, the power to regenerate all living thing. This must be the dragon cleansing pool. Sigh. Xiao Hua suppressed the excitement in his heart and entered the spatial crack. At a glance, he saw the dragon cleansing pool that he had yearned for even in his dreams. Xiao Hua couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He saw that this was a space filled with lightning. Countless purple lightning bolts appeared out of thin air and fell into a pool of water that was 1,000 li in size. This pool wasn't an ordinary circular pool, nor was it on the ground. Instead, it stood in the spatial crack in the shape of a dragon. Inside the pool, a pool of light purple liquid was rippling like water. From a gap at the end of the pool, a small stream was gurgling out. This stream was originally as thin as a chopstick, but after leaving the pool, it immediately swelled up and became like an ordinary stream. Moreover, this stream grew larger and larger. After flowing for a few li, it completely disappeared and evaporated into the spatial crack. This is the dragon cleansing pool. Xiao Hua looked inside the spatial crack. Apart from the lightning, there was nothing else. He was somewhat puzzled. After closing his eyes, he opened his delirium breaker Dharma eye. In the delirium breaker Dharma eye, an enormous dragon shape that was several times more dazzling than an ordinary sun coiled in the spatial crack. Xiao Hua resisted the discomfort caused by the delirium breaker Dharma eye and carefully observed it. This dragon shape looked similar to an ordinary dragon, but on the surface of the dragon shape, every dragon scale had millions of mysterious dragon patterns. Moreover, Every trace of the dragon pattern gave off a fine light. Within the fine light, there were even finer lightning bolts. Tens of thousands of dragon scales gathered together to form an unparalleled dragon might. This dragon might was like a mountain, like the sun and the moon, like the heavens and the earth. Xiao Hua almost couldn't see the entire dragon shape clearly. That glaring purple flame had already forced him to close his delirium breaker Dharma eye. After closing his Dharma eye, he saw the dragon cleansing pool again. He couldn't see the profoundness inside. Xiao Hua was enlightened once again. The dragon cleansing pool was not created by man but by nature. The delusion breaker Dharma eye was the key to the creation of the dragon cleansing pool. The dragon carvings on the dragon's shape were the work of the gods. The carvings on the dragon's body were probably the result of these millions of dragon carvings. Xiao Hua pondered for a moment. The Confucian cultivator Xiao Hua said in a low voice, "Fellow immortal, let me out first. Although I can't rely on this dragon cleansing pool to form my body, I can comprehend the essence of the dragon cleansing pool and see fellow Daoist Longmai's rebirth. This will be of great help to me in comprehending the vitality of Confucian cultivators. Fellow immortal, don't be impatient." Xiao Hua said with a smile, "The spatial laws in this folded jade legacy realm are incomplete. Confucian cultivators and clear eyes technique can't be used. This is the spatial crack of the folded jade legacy realm. Who knows if fellow immortal can come out?" -13. Chapter 40. Fortunately, Xiao Hua only gave it a try before releasing the scholarly cultivator Xiao Hua. Thus, Xiao Hua simply let the green-robed Xiao Hua send out his invisible nascent soul to experience the changes in the dragon cleansing pool together. Looking at the resplendent swordlight and the rumbling thunder, Xiao Hua turned his head to look outside the spatial crack, at the snowflakes floating down from the stacked jade legacy realm. He sighed in his heart, then his mind escaped into the mysterious dark clouds. How is it? Xiao Bai had previously swallowed Ao Jiao's soul, so he naturally knew some secrets of the stacked jade legacy realm. Although he had never asked, he was inevitably nervous. After all, even a dragon like Ao Jiao couldn't form her body. Xiao Bai was only a flood dragon, so how could he be blessed by heaven? Now that he saw Jade Archive Xiao Hua appear, he couldn't help but speak with a trembling voice. Jade Archive Xiao Hua smiled and said, "Everything is ready except for the east wind. How is your cultivation of the dragon transformation art?" Ha ha ha. Xiao Bai's face was filled with ecstasy when he heard this, and he laughed loudly. The entire soul formation realm was filled with Xiao Bai's joy, and the gloom and sorrow that seemed to have accumulated for hundreds of years disappeared in an instant. Xiao Hua tilde Xiao Bai laughed for half a cup of tea's time before he opened his mouth and said, "I don't know how to describe the excitement in my heart, nor do I know how to express my gratitude to you. Xiao Bai." Jade Archive Xiao Hua couldn't help but be excited and said, "You and I met because of Yellow Flower Ridge, and you died because of Shong Huaming. Although you aren't a member of Shong Huaming, in my eyes, you are the same as second senior brother and senior sister. You are my family in this life, and I am very happy to be able to do something for you. Furthermore, you and I are best friends. Your soul remains in my mysterious dark clouds, and my soul cultivation progresses along with you. How many people in this world are there who are worthy of such trust? How many people in this world are there who are worthy of such trust? How many people in this world are there who are worthy of such trust? How many people in this world are there who we can entrust everything to?" Sigh. Xiao Bai's expression gradually calmed down, and he sighed slightly and said, "You are right. In the face of such feelings, any words are useless, and no matter what you say, it is useless. Have you cultivated your dragon transformation skill to perfection?" Jade Archive Xiao Hua was still concerned about the dragon transformation skill and asked again. Xiao Bai smiled and said, "Although there are 9 layers to the dragon transformation art, when the dragon jade was incomplete, I did not quite understand it. After all, the tempering techniques in it were too profound. Furthermore, back then, with my python body, I had actually already mastered most of the dragonization art. Otherwise, How could I have transformed into a dragon? When the dragon jade was complete and I learned that the dragon transformation art was originally a cultivation method for the dragon race to remodel their bodies, I completely understood that during this period of time, there were no longer any obstacles for me to look back at the dragon transformation art in my soul state. At this point, Little White asked again, "By the way, Xiao Hua, you didn't let fellow Daoist Long Mai reconstruct his body first?" "Hehe, your matter is more important," Jade Archive Xiao Hua said with a smile. "Leave the matter of Daoist Long Mai for later." Little White was moved again. After thinking for a bit, it raised its dragon claw and a crystal light fell in front of Xiao Hua's eyes. It said, "This is my recent understanding of the dragonization art. Perhaps it will be of some help to Daoist Long Mai." "Okay." Jade Archive Xiao Hua stretched out his hand and the crystal light immediately entered Little White's body. He then urged, "Let's go, Little White. It's time for you to remodel your body." When Xiao Hua's consciousness withdrew from the mysterious dark clouds, he used the soul strands to drag Little White's soul out. Immediately, the entire space was filled with crackling sounds. The dragon that was originally difficult to see with the naked eye actually revealed its outline. Moreover, the calm purple liquid in the dragon cleansing pool also began to show traces of ripples. "Xiao Hua, I'm going." Little White was actually somewhat reserved as it looked at the dragon cleansing pool and said in a low voice. Xiao Hua said with a smile, "Go. Don't worry about personal gains and losses. Just stay calm and clear, and activate the dragonization art." "Okay." Little White took a deep breath. Roar. With a long roar, its soul rushed into the dragon cleansing pool. Boom. Seeing Little White's soul fall into the dragon cleansing pool, the entire space shook with a loud boom. A huge fire dragon shape appeared above the dragon cleansing pool. Oh! Xiao Hua somewhat understood. He knew that this was the reason why Little White swallowed the fire dragon's soul. Buzz. A series of strange sounds came from the dragon cleansing pool. The water in the dragon cleansing pool began to boil. At the crack in space, countless amounts of dragon spiritual energy rushed out from the stacked Jade Legacy realm and madly entered the dragon shape that was faintly visible to the naked eye. When the dragon spiritual energy entered the dragon scale, it turned into fireflies that hovered in the dragon cleansing pool. Hiss. Is this the power of rebirth? Xiao Hua's voice came from the sword light. Xiao Hua hastily looked over and saw a flickering black and white light appear at the end of the dragon cleansing pool. Then, even more black and white light appeared. In the blink of an eye, another dragon scale was formed. Then, the dragon scales began to flicker. Xiao Hua. At this time, Little White's voice came, "Don't forget your promise. Quickly give me a drop of essence blood." "You." Xiao Hua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "What do you want my essence blood for? I have a lot of dragon corpses here. How about I give you their flesh?" "Hehe, we had an agreement back then." Little White didn't explain and only laughed from the dragon cleansing pool. "All right." Xiao Hua helplessly sent a drop of essence blood into the dragon scale. Whoosh! A blood-red light flashed within the dragon scale. Within the blood-red light, the chanting of gods and devils could be faintly heard. One by one, the figures of gods and devils that couldn't be determined inexplicably appeared. The black and white light from before immediately dimmed under the influence of the gods and devils. A bit of flesh appeared within the light, and at the same time, the liquid in the dragon cleansing pool began to rush into the flesh and turned into something else. In just a short moment, a butterfly-shaped dragon tail appeared. Thunderclaps sounded like raindrops, and the dragon's spiritual energy blew in from the spatial crack like a hurricane. Snowflakes also entered the spatial crack, and the originally solemn atmosphere in the spatial crack became even denser. Mysterious ripples were produced in the spatial crack one after another. Scholarly cultivator Xiao Hua wasn't the only one who was immersed in comprehending the Tao of life. Green-robed Xiao Hua wasn't the only one who was engrossed in comprehending the Tao of life and death. Even Xiao Hua's eyes were filled with extraordinary splendor. This was the power of heaven and earth that was rarely seen in the world. This was the mystery of heaven and earth that came out of nothing. It was more profound than any cultivation method, secret technique, divine ability, or secret technique in the world. This was the source of all magical techniques and divine abilities. After a full 2 hours, the reconstruction of Little White's dragon body finally came to an end. A dragon body that was close to 50 kilometers in size gradually emerged from the dragon cleansing pool. Its scales flashed with mysterious dragon patterns, and every inch of its flesh was engraved with indescribable runes. Its seemingly real dragon body was filled with vitality and vitality. Boom! In the end, the entire space began to rumble with lightning and thunder. Consciousnesses that could easily destroy the entire world appeared above the dragon cleansing pool. With the appearance of these consciousnesses, an obscure and incomprehensible draconic incantation appeared amidst the rumbling thunder. Following this draconic incantation, the lightning in the entire space began to gather, forming a huge character on the little white dragon's blurry head. This character was so strange that even Xiao Hua, who had cultivated green seal text, couldn't see it in his mind even though he could see it with his eyes. Chirp! The words that came out of the lightning made a sound that was similar to the green seal script. Then, they fell into the little white dragon's head. It was like the finishing touch. The little white dragon's head suddenly appeared. At the same time, all the waves converged on the little white dragon's head, and the blood-red dragon horn appeared on its head. The moment the dragon horn appeared, all the gods and devils chanted, and all the thunder and lightning disappeared. Ha ha! Little White laughed and flew out of the dragon cleansing pool. Its huge dragon body rapidly shrank. When it arrived in front of Xiao Hua, the flames around Little White's body flashed, and a human figure wearing a scarlet robe appeared in front of Xiao Hua. It cupped its hands and said, "Fellow Daoist, I greet you." Looking at the human figure that looked exactly like him and the mysterious dragon pattern on the robe, Xiao Hua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He raised his hand and returned the gesture. "Little White, don't you have your original form?" "Ha ha!" Little White laughed. "I only have my original form of a monster. I don't have a human face." "Oh." Xiao Hua nodded slightly and said, "I understand. Ordinary dragons can't transform into a real human like you because they don't have the bloodline of a human. And you can only transform into me because you have my blood essence." Not only that, Little White's body swayed and transformed into an ordinary dragon. It danced in the air a few times and said with a smile, "I once cultivated in your soul, so I also have the power of your soul. When I transform into you, even Virokana revered one wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You're my real incarnation." Xiao Hua said with a smile, "You're no longer a soul body, so you can't enter the soul to cultivate. What plans do you have?" "Plans?" Little White laughed. "I'll follow you." "What other plans do I have?" "The world is vast. There are many places you can go." Xiao Hua nodded. "Even if you and I depend on each other for survival, you should go out and gain experience." "All right," Little White replied, "I'll listen to you. After all, I've just condensed my physical body. It's better for me to walk around first. Also," Xiao Hua thought of something and wanted to send a voice transmission, but he hesitated. After pondering for a moment, he said, "Your origin, just don't reveal it. I don't have anything else to tell you." "All right," Little White replied without hesitation, "we naturally have to endure our blood feud. When the time is right, we'll talk about it. How much dragon cleansing liquid did you use in the dragon cleansing pool?" Xiao Hua looked at the dragon cleansing pool and asked, "Is there enough left for fellow Daoist dragon bloodline to condense his body?" -13. Chapter 40-41. Haha, don't worry. Little White Dragon laughed and replied proudly, "I only used 20% of the dragon cleansing pool's dragon cleansing liquid. The remaining is enough for Daoist Longmai to condense his body." "Good." Xiao Hua relaxed and asked, "I have a Kunlun mirror here with a Kunlun immortal realm for you to cultivate in. Do you want to go in now? Or do you want to stay here?" "Of course I want to stay here." The little white dragon replied without any hesitation, "Fellow Daoist Longmai is your clone, so I have to protect you no matter what." "Good." Xiao Hua slapped his forehead and said, Daoist Long Mai, it's time for you to condense your body. Roar! With a dragon roar, Long Mai Xiao Hua rushed out of Xiao Hua's body. Rumble! As Long Mai Xiao Hua appeared, the previously extinguished lightning instantly enveloped the entire space. Even the dragon cleansing pool's dragon cleansing liquid began to boil. Hiss! Seeing such a phenomenon, not only was Xiao Hua shocked, even Little White Dragon was stunned. Daoist friend. Xiao Hua hurriedly said, the dragon cleansing pool's life force suddenly flourished, 10 times stronger than before. The lightning energy has also strengthened 10 times. Green-robed Xiao Hua reminded at the same time. There's more. Xiao Hua said, once Daoist Long Mai condenses his body, he might not be able to return to your body. How will you cultivate your Dao sect's techniques? Xiao Hua pondered for a moment, then raised his head and said, I have already thought about it for a long time. Now, Daoist Long Mai is no longer just eyes meridians. He is also an independent Daoist friend. Condensing his body is the first step of his cultivation. I cannot destroy his heavenly Dao for myself. Xiao Hua. Long Mai Xiao Hua's entire body was incomparably bright in the space. His voice also seemed to come from the heavens. Thank you. Hehe, no need to be so polite. Xiao Hua laughed. You are me, and I am you. I'm thinking for you and also for myself. Little White, thank you for your understanding of the dragonization art. Long Mai Xiao Hua looked at the reborn Little White Dragon. Now, I have full confidence in condensing my body. Haha, no need to be so polite. Little White Dragon's voice. You are me, I am you. Roar. Long Mai Xiao Hua's dragon roar shook the space. Xiao Hua, the dragon flew into the dragon cleansing pool. Don't worry, I'll give you some essence blood. Xiao Hua thought of something and hurriedly forced a drop of essence blood into Xiao Hua's mouth. Aren't you being too stingy? The green-robed Xiao Hua laughed from the side. Now, the lightning in the dragon cleansing pool is more than 10 times stronger than the Little White Dragon's body. How can a drop of your essence blood succeed? Uttt it. Xiao Hua almost stomped his feet. He fiercely glared at the green-robed Xiao Hua. Daoist TTSTSSS Daoist Lord Long Mai's body is to condense body to condense. Me too. Xiao Hua, of course, wouldn't let Long Mai Xiao Hua's body formation fail. Thinking for a moment, he gave another 8 drops of blood. Xiao Hua's face turned pale. Boom! Long Mai Xiao Hua rushed into the dragon cleansing pool, causing the space to tremble. Inside the dragon cleansing pool, Long Mai Xiao Hua's body formation phenomenon was 10 times stronger than when Little White Dragon condensed his body. Looking at the dragon spiritual chi gushing out from the folded jade legacy realm, it caused the space crack to shake. The two mountains seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Oh no! Although Xiao Hua was prepared, he didn't expect Long Mai Xiao Hua's body formation to be so powerful. Before he could come up with a countermeasure, the dragon cleansing pool roared. Roar! The dragon above the dragon cleansing pool actually let out a roar. The dragon cleansing liquid in the dragon cleansing pool was like a water dragon charging into the dragon. Even more concentrated lightning bolts struck the dragon's scales and patterns. After the dragon cleansing pool filled up the dragon, it continued to expand uncontrollably. At the end of the dragon cleansing pool, the black and white specks of light at the dragon's tail had yet to appear, let alone the condensation of blood and flesh. Little White, what's going on? Xiao Hua panicked and turned to ask Little White Dragon. Little White Dragon was also dumbfounded. He didn't know what to say. After a while, he stuttered, I don't know, roar. Right at this moment, Xiao Hua's dragon roar resounded once more from the dragon cleansing pool. An enormous dragon figure actually charged out from the pool, flashed over Xiao Hua's head, and flew towards the stacked jade legacy realm. Around the dragon shape, there were billions of lightning and billions of dragon runes that looked like sparkling jade lights. It was a spectacular sight. Xiao Hua didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly moved his body and followed Little White Dragon out of the space. Woo! A huge wind whistled. The dragon shape gradually expanded and rushed towards the folded jade legacy realm. It was probably already more than 10,000 miles away. At this time, The drifting snowflakes were sucked into the huge dragon shape along with the dragon spirit chi in the folded jade legacy realm. This hurricane was so big that it gradually affected the entire folded jade legacy realm. Along with the hurricane, the entire folded jade legacy realm fell into lightning and thunder. 10,000 layers of dragon clouds, 10,000 layers of dragon roars, the entire folded jade legacy realm seemed to be splitting the heavens and earth. This huge movement was not inferior to the changes in the scenery of the folded jade legacy realm. Especially, along with the appearance of the dragon cleansing pool's dragon shape and the condensation of Long Mai Xiaohua's flesh, an earth-shattering dragon aura gradually condensed from an inexplicable space within Xiaohua's body. This dragon aura was so powerful that it caused all the dragons in the folded jade legacy realm to crawl on the ground. Dragon territory. Dragon territory. Ao Sheng and Ao Zhon were naturally attracted by the phenomenon of Long Mai Xiaohua's body condensation. Like all the other dragons, they flew towards the direction of the huge dragon shape. However, when the dragon aura was released, they couldn't help but tremble. Ao Sheng resisted the trembling and actually revealed the tone of a great elder. Could it be that the passage between the folded jade legacy realm and dragon territory has been repaired? Did the dragon territory's holy dragon descend here? When did the dragon aura of the Four Seas Dragon Clan and Dragon Island's Dragon Clan become so powerful? Looking far into the distance, Long Sai, who was sucking on a giant dragon, raised her head in surprise. She looked at the dragon pillar, and a rare look of fear and indescribable greed appeared in her withered and emotionless eyes. After hesitating for a moment, Long Sai suddenly jumped into the air, and her figure disappeared in a flash. Long Sai was not the only one who was attracted by this unusual phenomenon. Even further away, another black figure that was dozens of feet large flew up from the ground. Its body also swiftly descended into the empty space. Behind this black figure, there were also a couple of huge dragon corpses that had fallen on a huge rock. Quick, quick! Although the dragons were shocked by the dragon aura, they understood in their hearts and shouted, "Quickly rush to where the holy dragon is. Only by reaching there will we be safe. Only the holy dragon can resist Long Sai. Damn it, fellow Daoist Long Mai is too strong." Little White Dragon was also shocked by the dragon aura. However, he had just come out of the dragon cleansing pool and the dragon aura of the dragon cleansing liquid in his body hadn't faded yet. Therefore, he could still stand there steadily. He couldn't help but exclaim. However, Xiaohua, who was standing next to Little White Dragon, had a trace of worry on his face. Although he couldn't see what was wrong with this powerful dragon aura, he could feel the lack of strength in Xiaohua's body condensation. Xiaohua looked at the snowflakes dancing in the air, then the yellow leaves drifting in the air, and now it was drizzling. He understood that because of Xiaohua's body condensation, the 3 seasons of the stacked Jade Legacy realm had been completed within several hours. The dragon spiritual chi had condensed into Xiaohua's body, but the will of the body condensation and the dragon language that sealed the heavenly pattern land deed hadn't appeared. This could only mean that his 9 drops of essence blood weren't enough to condense Xiaohua's body. What else is missing? What else is missing? Xiaohua held his forehead with one hand and whispered in a somewhat anxious tone. Little White Dragon also frowned. He thought for a moment, then probed, "Xiaohua, fellow Daoist Longmai is formed by luck and borrowed your meridians. It's easier for him to fuse with the dragon cleansing liquid in the dragon cleansing pool. This place is a fragment of the dragon domain. Does he lack dragon domain's essence blood? Damn it, how can I have dragon jade's essence blood?" Xiaohua replied somewhat anxiously. "Isn't there a dragon priest in the stacked Jade Legacy realm?" Confucian cultivator Xiaohua reminded. Xiaohua's eyes lit up, but then he shook his head. Although dragon priest is from the dragon domain, he isn't a dragon. His essence blood won't be useful. That's not right. Green-robed Xiaohua said, "Fellow Daoist Longmai hasn't condensed his body for a long time. It should be because he doesn't have enough life force. Or rather, he doesn't have enough dragon spiritual chi. Dragon jade. Crystal dragon. Dragon core." Xiaohua suddenly came to a realization. These 3 things came from Dragonfield, There must be pure dragon spirit chi from Dragonfield inside. Put the dragon core at the back. Green-robed Xiao Hua immediately shouted, "Let's give the useless crystal dragon and dragon jade to fellow Daoist Long My First." With a wave of his hand, Xiao Hua took out dragon jade and crystal dragon and sent them into the dragon cleansing pool together. Boom! The dragon cleansing pool once again surged with wild waves. An indescribable ripple spread from the dragon's tail to the dragon's head that Xiao Hua still couldn't form. Boom! With a loud sound, the entire stacked jade legacy realm turned completely dark. Only a bolt of lightning flashed in the sky. In the darkness, hundreds of powerful consciousnesses appeared in the stacked jade legacy realm. Then, hundreds of cryptic dragon language appeared in the thunder like an incantation. It was like a blessing and also like a prayer. Following this dragon language, hundreds of huge characters directly emitted a dazzling light in the darkness. Dragon. Dragon Ancestor's Blessing. Ao Sheng crawled on the ground and couldn't help but cry out, "This isn't the dragon domain's holy dragon descend. It's a dragon's body condensed." Xiao Hua. This is Xiao Hua. But, Dragon Ancestor's Blessing. How can there be so many? There's a total of 100. How is this possible? -13. Chapter 40-42. Just as Dragon Hall's Great Elder was confused, hundreds of dragon runes landed on Dragon Vein Xiao Hua's head. At the same time, a huge dragon head slowly grew out. 2 9-colored crystal dragon horns also grew out. Above the dragon horns, there was a faint dragon crown. The hundreds of dragon ancestors' blessings landed on the dragon horns. All the gods and demons chanted and all the thunder and lightning completely disappeared. Along with the disappearance of the lightning and thunder, there were also layers of dark clouds in the forgotten realm of stacked jade. The entire sky seemed to have brightened up as jade-like crystals were born in the sky. Like a spring breeze, tens of thousands of flower petals bloomed among the cloud trees. Stacked jade, stacked jade. Xiao Hua was in a good mood. Looking at the layers of jade falling down, he smiled and said, "I'm afraid this is the origin of the realm of stacked jade." Roar! Dragon Vein Xiao Hua stretched his neck and let out a long cry. His huge dragon body rapidly shrank. The dragon might that pervaded the entire realm of stacked jade also faded like the tide. When Dragon Vein Xiao Hua landed in the dragon cleansing pool, all the strange phenomena disappeared. "I greet you." Dragon Vein Xiao Hua flew out from the dragon cleansing pool and transformed into a human figure that looked exactly like Xiao Hua. He bowed and greeted. Little White Dragon's figure flashed and landed beside Dragon Vein Xiao Hua. His appearance was also no different from Xiao Hua, not to mention the naked eye. Even if divine sense swept over, it was impossible to distinguish Little White from Dragon Vein Xiao Hua. "Congratulations, fellow Daoist." Xiao Hua ignored the little white dragon and cupped his hands in return. His gaze was rather satisfied as he looked up and down at Xiao Hua of the dragon bloodline, who was dressed in a dragon-patterned Daoist robe. He said, "Fellow Daoist, you can use your original appearance. There's no need to transform into my appearance." "Okay." Dragon Vein Xiao Hua smiled. The dragon runes moved slightly and his human figure disappeared. A 5-clawed colored dragon with a dragon crown appeared in front of Xiao Hua. You actually formed a 5-clawed dragon body?" Little White Dragon looked at Dragon Vein Xiao Hua's 5 claws and was shocked. He asked in disbelief. Dragon Vein Xiao Hua smiled and said, "Indeed. Before I condensed my body, I didn't notice it. Now that I have condensed my body, I realized that I actually formed a 5-clawed dragon body. Sigh, a dragon among dragons. Fate is indeed different." Little White Dragon sighed. Comparing dragons to dragons really makes dragons angry. Ouch. Xiao Hua smiled as he looked at the 2 dragons that had successfully condensed their bodies. Suddenly, his expression changed as if he had thought of something. He threw down the 2 dragons and hurriedly flew to the side of the dragon cleansing pool. At this time, the dragon cleansing pool was almost empty. Less than half of the dragon cleansing liquid was flowing in the pool. "Withdraw." Without hesitation, Xiao Hua extended his consciousness into the dragon cleansing pool. Fortunately, the dragon cleansing pool had just been destroyed by the dragon vein Xiao Hua's transformation, and all the innate restrictions had yet to recover. Xiao Hua's consciousness swept up the dragon cleansing liquid and smoothly sent it into the space. Ha ha! Xiao Hua clapped his hands and laughed. This way, I won't have any regrets. Before he could finish laughing, the sound of a beast's roar that made Xiao Hua's hair stand on end came from outside the dragon cleansing pond. Long sigh. Why did this thing chase after us? Damn it! Xiao Hua's face was pale. Long Sai was the natural enemy of the dragon race. How could the two freshly emerged dragons outside the dragon cleansing pool be a match for Long Sai? Roar, roar! Contrary to Xiao Hua's expectations, two resounding dragon roars rang out at the same time as the sound of an explosion. Xiao Hua was so frightened that he hurriedly flew out of the dragon cleansing pool. When he flew out, the little white dragon and Long Sai had already transformed into a 1,000 Zhonglong dragon and were fighting with a similarly 1,000 Zhonglong Long Sai. Although the two dragons were at a disadvantage, they did not look like ordinary dragons that were being eaten. Xiao Hua came to a realization. The dragon cleansing pool was an item of the dragon domain. The two dragons born from the dragon cleansing pool were naturally not something the Dragon Island's dragon race could compare to. They would not be particularly afraid of Long Sai. Of course, the strength that Long Sai Xiao Hua was displaying now was extremely unmatched with the huge abnormality of Long Sai Xiao Hua's body condensation. This made Xiao Hua a little confused. However, how could Xiao Hua have the time to think? With a roar, his body flashed with brilliance as he displayed the Heavenly Laws embodiment technique and joined the battle with the wishful steel staff in his hand. Rumble. Just as Xiao Hua's figure left the dragon cleansing pool, a loud thunder sounded again. The two mountain-like spatial cracks quickly healed, and the dragon platform between the three mountains also began to slowly roll down the mountain. Roar. Dragon bloodline Xiao Hua roared angrily. He opened his dragon mouth and tore off a piece of flesh from dragon bloodline Xiao Hua's body. Taking advantage of dragon bloodline Xiao Hua's success, dragon bloodline Xiao Hua opened his mouth and a several 1,000-foot-long tongue came out of his dragon head and fiercely lunged at dragon bloodline Xiao Hua's forehead. Boom! Just as the tongue was about to pierce Long Sai Xiao Hua's forehead, a black wishful steel staff suddenly appeared from the void and smashed right in the middle of the tongue. The whole tongue bent like noodles. Gee! Long Sai Xiao Hua was ashamed and angry, and its huge claws slapped at Xiao Hua. This slap of Long Sai Xiao Hua actually contained a restriction that shrouded the space of several hundred zhong around Xiao Hua, imprisoning Xiao Hua. Pa! Xiao Hua's whole body shone with golden light, but he was unable to break free from this restriction. The beast claw slapped down and hit his arm. Xiao Hua's several hundred zhong golden body fell from the sky like a stone and landed on the ground with a boom. However, it was only a moment before Xiao Hua flew out from the ground again and rushed into the air, although there were some cracks on his arm. Ah! It was also at this moment that Long Sai's other beast claw fell on Little White Dragon's tail. A large piece of flesh was torn, and Little White Dragon cried out in pain. Immediately, Long Sai Xiao Hua turned its head and its long tongue suddenly attacked Little White Dragon's forehead. Little White Dragon turned pale with fright, and a dark green halo flashed between its dragon horns. A halo rushed out and landed on Long Sai Xiao Hua's forehead without any obstruction. Long Sai Xiao Hua suddenly screamed and hastily retracted its tongue, as if it wanted to protect its forehead. Ka! At this moment, a shadow flashed by on Long Sai Xiao Hua's tail. Long Sai Xiao Hua's dragon tail suddenly fell, and Long Sai Xiao Hua's tail immediately bent. Long Sai Xiao Hua's figure rose up and loudly howled. Kill! Xiao Hua coldly waved his hand. Following Xiao Hua's command, Little White Dragon and Long Sai Xiao Hua once again pounced on Long Sai Xiao Hua from both sides. GGG! Long Sai Xiao Hua roared 3 times in a row, and its entire monster body was suffused with a striking scarlet color. The dragon patterns on its body seemed to be alive, and an indescribable dragon might was actually emitted from Long Sai Xiao Hua's body, forcing Little White Dragon and Long Sai Xiao Hua to retreat several thousand zhong. Xiao Hua was even worse off, and was firmly pressed on the ground, unable to move at all. Moreover, as the dragon might grew stronger, the two dragons' movements were also restricted, and a vague feeling of bone softness and tendon numbness appeared again. Not good. Xiao Hua looked at Long Sai Xiao Hua, who was ferociously closing in on Little White Dragon and Long Sai Xiao Hua, and was greatly alarmed. Little White Dragon and Long Sai Xiao Hua have after all just formed their bodies, and their strength is still shallow. How can they be this Long Sai's opponent? At this crucial moment, roar. A loud and clear dragon roar came from afar, and a mountain-like dragon might rushed over like a wave. Rumble. It violently collided with Long Sai's dragon might from all directions. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Xiao Hua struggled to fly up from the ground, and rushed to Long Sai Xiao Hua's side. Fellow. Xiao Hua bitterly smiled and asked, "The heaven and earth anomaly of your body forming is so big, and has indeed disturbed the entire overlapping Jadeite legacy realm, but why is your strength still so weak?" Long Sai Xiao Hua indifferently replied, "I's body forming movement is big, and it can only mean that I's dragon body foundation is good, and I have great potential in the future. It can't mean that I's strength can surpass you all of a sudden. That Ao Sheng is called Little Clan Elder, but isn't his current strength inferior to I?" Xiao Hua was only complaining, but he actually understood in his heart. Looking at Long Sai, whose dragon might was like a mountain, he asked, "Now, what should we do? Fight to the death?" Long Sai Xiao Hua's dragon eyes were unyielding. "I formed my body from the dragon spiritual energy of the dragon domain, and this heaven and earth originally did not tolerate it. How can you not know? It is difficult for any almighty to descend into the world, and there is bound to be a heaven and earth calamity. This Long Sai is the heaven and earth's test for I, and I will definitely fight and win, and kill if I win." "Good." Little White Dragon shouted from the side. "I will also help." Rumble. While Xiao Hua and the others were talking, Long Sai Xiao Hua had already clashed with Long Sai. Dense draconic aura wreaked havoc in an area of nearly 1,000 miles. Specks of emerald green danced in the hurricane. Scales and drops of dragon blood also flashed with a bloody color in the emerald green. The entire space was cracking and collapsing amidst the roars. The great elder of the Dragon Hall once again used Ao Sheng's dragon body to reveal his true form. That 8th grade essence force was evenly matched with Long Sai. Even with the powerful combat ability of the dragon race, the great elder tore Long Sai's body into pieces. The pain made Long Sai's withered yellow eyes flash with green light. Xiao Hua, Little White Dragon, and Long Sai Xiao Hua were forced back step by the unstoppable force, and that knife-like wind blade even cut open the huge rocks of the realm of Jade. Luckily, Little White Dragon looked at Long Sai Xiao Hua, who had the upper hand with lingering fear, and said, "Long Sai Xiao Hua was distracted during this training, otherwise we would have all died in Long Sai's mouth." "Not necessarily." Long Sai Xiao Hua's expression suddenly changed, and said in a low voice, "This Long Sai's dragon might is starting to change, not only that." Xiao Hua's face also turned pale. "Long Sai Xiao Hua has already appeared once with Ao Sheng's body. I'm afraid he won't be able to last long this time. His dragon might and aura are already starting to weaken." At this moment, Long Sai Xiao Hua's sharp claws slashed through the air, and instantly created a several hundred zhong long wound on Long Sai's abdomen, and that faint golden blood flowed out from the wound. However, Long Sai not only did not roar in pain, but instead let out a hiss, and this hiss actually had a hint of a dragon's roar. Looking at the wound, catcher. It expanded, and a golden light flashed out from the wound, and a monster that looked like a python dragon poked its head out from the wound. -13. Chapter 40-43. Once this monster similar to Long Sai appeared, a huge dragon might and an aura that could cause 10,000 dragons to tremble was released. It spread towards the depths of the stacked Jade Legacy realm. Even Dragon Hall's Great Elder couldn't help but tremble when facing this aura. It was hard for him to gather the dragon chi in his body. Not good. Dragon Hall's great elder shouted and transmitted his voice to Xiao Hua. Quick! Daoist Master Xiao, ask these two immortal friends to come and help. This Long Sai is about to advance. As long as he succeeds, the stacked Jade Legacy Realm, no, the entire Dragon Island will be destroyed. You can't even deal with it with your 8th grade essence energy strength. How can we deal with it? Xiao Hua was a bit hesitant. Right now, the only person in the entire stacked Jade Legacy Realm who wasn't afraid of Long Sai was probably him. Of course I can kill Long Sai with my strength. Dragon Hall's great elder said anxiously. I even have the heavenly dragon technique that I haven't used yet. But this Long Sai is the natural enemy of my dragon race. Before Long Sai advanced, I could still resist his killing aura. Now that Long Sai has started to advance, I'm afraid I can't resist anymore. And Daoist Master's two immortal friends have just condensed their bodies and came out of the dragon cleansing pool. They aren't afraid of Long Sai's killing aura. Xiao Hua squinted his eyes, as if he was bargaining, but their strength is only at 6th grade essence energy. Relying on the dragon chi of the stacked Jade Legacy Realm, they might reach 7th grade essence energy. Adding on Daoist Master. Great Elder's voice became more and more hurried, as if he couldn't breathe due to Long Sai's killing aura. I can also use the heavenly dragon technique again. We might have the strength to fight. Long Sai only consumes dragons, right? Xiao Hua asked in confusion. Of course, the entire stacked Jade Legacy Realm's dragon race. Great Elder was caught off guard and said casually. But just as he said that, he immediately understood Xiao Hua's meaning and said angrily, Daoist Master Xiao, you. Xiao Hua's hand pinched his chin, looking at the new Long Sai who was coming out of the bloodstains on Long Sai's abdomen. He said calmly, Great Elder has already used this Xiao enough. Don't you feel that you are very unkind? But didn't you also find the dragon cleansing pool? Didn't he condense his body as well? The Grand Elder couldn't help but tremble. Even his voice was trembling. That new dragon priest's killing intent was too powerful. If there is no Long Sai, Xiao Hua said with a smile, of course, I will abide by the agreement in the Dragon Palace. Besides, even if there is no Long Sai, the thing that Ao Sheng and Ao Zhon obtained in the deeper Yuan, hey, you don't think that it flew out of nowhere, do you? All right. The Great Elder of the Dragon Palace naturally knew what Xiao Hua was talking about. He also understood Xiao Hua's meaning. He resolutely and decisively said, Long Yu will be given to a real person to comprehend for 1,000 years. No. How could Xiao Hua agree? He waves his hand and says, Long Yu belongs to your Dragon Island. Now that this Xiao has found him, he should already belong to this Xiao. However, this Xiao is willing to return it to its rightful owner. As for when it will be returned, that will depend on my mood. At this point, the Great Elder of the Dragon Hall no longer had any room to bargain. He said without hesitation, if you return it before you ascend, I will agree on behalf of the Dragon Hall. Otherwise, I will go all out, deal. Xiao Hua saw Long Sai break out of the cocoon and did not dare to delay any longer. He hurriedly said, let's go together. Kill this bastard. All right. The Great Elder of the Dragon Hall said again, Long Sai has advanced. There is a fetal belt in his abdomen. It is the essence of Long Sai and is also Long Sai's only weakness. My dragon race does not dare to approach that place. Only that immortal friend Five Claws can. However, that place is especially tough. Only Five Claws' dragon claws can break it. Once this fetal belt is broken, Long Sai's essence will leak out. You can also kill him. What about you? Xiao Hua nodded and whispered to Little White Dragon and Dragon Vein Xiao Hua. He then asked. The Great Elder of the Dragon Hall sneered, do you think this old man is useless? Even if this old man has to give up this primordial spirit, I will still kill Long Sai. That is. Xiao Hua said with a smile, if Long Sai does not die, I am afraid the entire Dragon Island will be in danger. Great Elder, if you have any trump cards, take them all out. Long Sai cannot leave the stacked Jade Legacy Realm. The Great Elder looked at Long Sai and said with a decisive tone, without the true dragon tablet, no one can return to the Dragon Island. Roar! At this time, Long Sai had already raised his head from the bloodstains. Although there were no dragon horns on the beast's head and it did not have the shape of a dragon, a kind of beast roar that was extremely similar to that of the dragon race came out from its bloody mouth. When this sound came out, the Great Elder's dragon body trembled and shouted, "Daoist Master Xiao, we do not have time. Hurry up and do it." "All right." Xiao Hua waved his hand and ordered, "We will attract Long Sai's attention. Fellow Daoist Dragon Vane, you are responsible for killing Long Sai." Roar! Little White and Dragon Vane Xiao Hua roared at the same time, as if they were emboldening each other. The two huge dragons, one from the left and one from the back, pounced towards Long Sai. Woo! Seeing the two dragons move, the Great Elder urged Ao Sheng's dragon body and also rushed into the sky. However, before the Great Elder could get close to Long Sai slightly moaned, and the Great Elder's body immediately trembled. He could not even fly and was about to fall. Wung wung wung. The Great Elder's dragon body suddenly flashed with brilliance, and streams of dragon aura surged from all directions. The dragon aura of the stacked Jade Legacy realm was first plundered by Dragon Vane Xiao Hua's body, and now that Long Sai had advanced, it was swept clean again, so the dragon aura that the Great Elder attracted this time was really insufficient. However, as the dragon aura poured in, the Great Elder opened his mouth, and obscure dragon language flew out from his mouth. Then, the Great Elder waved his dragon claws, and the space within hundreds of miles gradually condensed into a kind of crystal-like thing. Gah! At this time, Xiao Hua did not care about hiding his strength anymore. He abandoned his transcendence golden body and gradually formed a demon body. The Phoenix Wu raised its head and screamed, flapping its wings and pouncing towards Long Sai. Facing Long Sai, the Phoenix Wu who had transformed into a phoenix did not have any natural fear. Even the sound that made the dragons go limp only made his heart tremble, and did not have any effect on his physical body. The Phoenix Wu waved its phoenix claws, and a mark that was hundreds of feet long flashed in mid-air, slashing towards Long Sai like lightning. This sharp blade that could cut an ordinary cultivator in half did not seem to be in Long Sai's eyes at all. Long Sai sensed the abnormality and suddenly turned his head, spitting out dirty blood from his mouth. Swoosh! An extremely tough blood cloud blocked in front of the Phoenix Wu. Ka. Under the Phoenix Wu's sharp claws, this blood cloud actually made a golden sound. When the blood cloud was torn apart, the Phoenix Wu's strength had already disappeared, and the Phoenix Wu did not hesitate to extend its beak and peck at Long Sai's forehead from afar. Long Sai's forehead was originally stained with blood, but at this time, it seemed to have been washed away by the rain. Swoosh swoosh. With a sound, a crack appeared between Long Sai's brows. Long Sai was shocked, and his figure flashed quickly. The hidden dragon patterns on his body flashed brilliantly, and he rushed out of the blood, wanting to block the Phoenix Wu's attack. At this time, Little White Dragon and Dragon Vane Xiao Hua's attacks also arrived. The dragon claws landed on Long Sai's skin, but with a ka sound, the dragon patterns on Long Sai's skin still flashed, and it actually blocked the attacks of the two dragons. Wung wung. At the same time, within a few miles of Long Sai, the sound of wind whistling could be heard. Tens of thousands of huge scenera-like objects appeared out of thin air and stabbed into Long Sai's skin from all directions. Although the skin flashed with dragon patterns and destroyed a portion of the scenera-like objects, there were still many of the scenera-like objects that stabbed into it. Boom boom. The scenera-like objects exploded, and the skin was also blasted into pieces. Large amounts of blood gushed out, and Long Sai, who was not fully formed before, was exposed in mid-air. However, at the same time that the scenera-like objects exploded, Great Elder, who was using the heavenly dragon speech technique in mid-air, had traces of dragon blood seeping out of his dragon scales. His brilliance also dimmed a lot, and his entire body flew back several thousand feet. It was obvious that he was hit by Long Sai's backlash. "This is all I can do." Great Elder's extremely weak voice sounded, "Quickly kill Long Sai." "It can't be." Feng Wu really didn't understand why Long Sai was so powerful that even someone as strong as Great Elder was so powerless. However, he didn't dare to be careless. He flapped his wings, and the thin power of the stars and moon created a simple restriction. His entire body moved again, and he pounced towards Long Sai. Little White Dragon also seemed to be going all out. Its entire body rapidly transformed, and it became extremely long as it desperately tried to entangle Long Sai. Roar! Long Sai sensed danger and roared loudly. His entire body expanded, and it was actually 10,000 feet long. However, the body that had just been pulled out of the scenery-like object looked abnormally slender. Moreover, although there was a large amount of dragon spiritual energy surging in from the stacked Jade Forgotten Realm, it was clearly not enough for Long Sai to fully form. When Long Sai roared, his body suddenly expanded. Little White Dragon's body made creaking sounds, as if it was about to be torn apart. On Dragon Vane Xiaohua's dragon head, the 7-colored dragon horn on his dragon head gave off an inexplicable fluctuation, firmly covering Long Sai's forehead. The vague dragon crown also appeared, and a colorful light rushed towards Long Sai. Swoosh! Feng Wu rushed over, and his sharp claws scratched Long Sai's body. Several feet of flesh and blood were torn apart, and his other sharp claws pierced deeply into Long Sai's body. Before Feng Wu's sharp claws could penetrate deeper, from the side of Long Sai's body, a tentacle stretched out. Pa! It hit Feng Wu's phoenix body, and the huge force sent Feng Wu flying. Even his skin was torn apart by an extremely corrosive thing on the tentacle. Sigh! Xiaohua sucked in a breath of cold air from the pain. Even his powerful body wasn't Long Sai's opponent. How could an ordinary dragon be Long Sai's opponent? Boom! The moment Long Sai attacked Xiaohua, Dragon Vane Xiaohua pierced his dragon horn into Long Sai's body. A huge explosion rang out, mixed with a bloody light that soared into the sky. Long Sai's screams resounded through the air. All of the dragons were scared out of their wits when they heard the miserable screams. -13. Chapter 40-44. Although Dragon Vane Xiaohua's dragon horn had already pierced into Long Sai's body, Long Sai's screams were still loud and clear. It was far from being killed. At this moment, Xiaohua suddenly saw something that looked like a human baby's umbilical cord within the bloodstains. It was several zhong in size and was slightly wriggling in the bloodstains. Xiaohua was overjoyed and hurriedly transmitted his voice. Little White Dragon heard it and swept its tail towards the umbilical cord. Boom! A loud sound was heard. The umbilical cord emitted a strange brilliance and cryptic fluctuations, not allowing the dragon tail to get close. Long Sai sensed Little White Dragon's intention and turned around to bite Little White Dragon. Roar! Long Sai was indeed the natural nemesis of the dragon race. Long Sai had not completely transformed yet. With just a small bite, it immediately bit off a large part of Little White Dragon's neck. This pain was not only physical, but also spiritual and other mysterious parts. Little White Dragon was in so much pain that it raised its head and roared. Not only that, Long Sai's dragon claw even reached into Little White Dragon's chest. With a pu sound, the dragon body formed by the dragon cleansing pool was like a piece of paper under Long Sai's dragon claw. Roar! Little White Dragon threw caution to the wind. Ignoring the tearing pain all over its body, it once again urged its dragon chi and wrapped its body around Long Sai. At this critical moment, Dragon Vane Xiaohua's dragon claw quietly reached out from Little White Dragon's side and grabbed Long Sai's umbilical cord. Just as Dragon Vane Xiaohua's dragon claw reached out, Long Sai had already sensed it. He roared and turned around to escape. However, although Little White Dragon was covered in blood, it still risked its life to entangle Long Sai. Above Long Sai's head, Feng Wu once again pounced and blocked Long Sai's escape with its huge wings. Suddenly, Long Sai's immature tail pulled out from the blood and landed on Dragon Bloodline Xiaohua's back. This Long Sai's tail was even sharper than a sword. A deep wound appeared on Dragon Bloodline Xiaohua's back, revealing the bone. When had Dragon Vane Xiaohua ever suffered such great pain? Xiaohua's entire dragon body was trembling. However, it was also at this crucial moment that Dragon Vane Xiaohua's dragon claw suddenly reached into his fetal belt. The defense that Little White Dragon was unable to break through was even more like crumbs under Xiaohua's dragon claws. As the dragon claws penetrated, A burst of blood that emitted a fragrant smell spurted out like a fountain of blood. Looking at the unusually ferocious Long Sai, she looked like a giant dragon whose tendons had been pulled out. She fell limp in the air and hung down on the little white dragon like a vine. At the same time, the dragon might that intimidated the dragons and the murderous aura that could kill dragons instantly disappear. Whoosh! Suddenly, a dragon shape appeared. Without waiting for Dragon Vein Xiao Hua's dragon claw to pull out, it swallowed Long Sai's womb and other parts. It even swallowed Long Sai's abdomen, which was more than 100 feet away. Grand Elder, you. Feng Wu's body had yet to recover, and he flapped his wings and shouted in midair. Ao Sheng's dragon body appeared in midair. His dragon head was still stained with blood, but his dragon eyes were filled with ecstasy. He said, "Spiritual Master Xiao, you've only eaten meat. No matter what, you should let me drink some soup." That voice was Ao Sheng's. "You. Don't you think you're too shameless?" Xiao Hua recovered his body, and he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If it was Dragon Hall's Grand Elder, Xiao Hua might have fought for something, but facing Ao Sheng, Xiao Hua really didn't know what to say. It was probably because of this that Dragon Hall's Grand Elder let Ao Sheng out. Just as Xiao Hua's voice fell, he suddenly remembered something. He hurriedly took out a yin-yang bracelet, and with his mind, he swept Long Sai's body into the space. "What are you doing?" Ao Sheng was also shocked. He shouted, "Quickly kill Long Sai. Don't raise a tiger and invite calamity. Long Sai's womb was swallowed by you. Can he still do whatever he wants?" Xiao Hua asked. Ao Sheng thought for a moment, then shook his head and said, "Long Sai's womb has been lost. He can no longer cause harm to my dragon race. At best, he is now a strange beast of the dragon field. And an immature strange beast." Then it's settled. Xiao Hua looked at the little white dragon and the dragon vein. Xiao Hua transformed into his human form, and his body was covered in blood. He said fiercely, "This Long Sai is too despicable. I'm determined to make him regret it for the rest of his life." "Oh. All right." Ao Sheng knew that he couldn't get back what fell into Xiao Hua's hands. He hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, "Since you want to take Long Sai, then you have to be responsible for my dragon race. Don't let this Long Sai come out alive. If he eats my dragon race's brain, he might be able to recover. Don't worry." Xiao Hua patted his chest and said, "In this old man's hands, how can I let him escape?" At this point, Xiao Hua changed the topic and said, "Oh, also, North Sea Dragon Palace's Ao Jing and the others were not killed by me. Now that I have Long Sai, I believe you can testify for me. Although I'm not afraid of North Sea Dragon Palace, I don't want to cause trouble." Ao Sheng looked Xiao Hua up and down and said with a smile, "Didn't you offend North Sea Dragon Palace's Ao Jing? Ao Zheng came to settle the score with you, so it's normal for you to kill him. Look, you killed Long Sai. Doesn't that phoenix body, which is even more powerful than a dragon's body, prove that you're the one who killed Ao Zheng? Why would I kill Ao Zheng?" Xiao Hua waved his hand and said, "At that time, Little White, and this brother Long had yet to condense their bodies. How could I be a match for Ao Zheng and the other 5 dragons alone? Other than being killed by Long Sai, what other possibility could there be? The problem is," Ao Sheng replied, "Ao Zheng and the other 5 dragons' brains weren't eaten by Long Sai." Hiss. Ao Sheng's words were like a bolt of lightning, instantly waking Xiao Hua up. He had a strange feeling in his heart. Then, he reached out his hand and took out the body of a dragon. He said anxiously, "Could it be that Ao Zheng is the same as this dragon? He, you actually killed one of my dragon race's descendants." Ao Sheng chuckled, "Now I've caught you red-handed. Not good." Xiao Hua looked at the wound on his chest that was torn by a sharp weapon and exclaimed, "There are other dragon domain beasts in this stacked Jade Legacy realm. These beasts eat the heart and lungs of the dragon race. Impossible, right? What other dragon domain beasts can there be?" Ao Sheng was stunned. Little White Dragon and Dragon Vein Xiao Hua also quivered. After all, Long Sai almost killed the dragon race that was training. If another one came, who would be able to escape? Ah! Quickly run. Why hasn't the stacked Jade Legacy realm closed? At this moment, there was a burst of chaos in the distance. Shocked voices and miserable cries could be heard. Xiao! Daoist Xiao! Ao Zhon flew over from the distance. As he flew, he shouted loudly, quickly run, there's a beast. While he was speaking, a several jong large black figure flew up from the ground. This black figure moved slightly and immediately disappeared in the air. When it reappeared, it had already landed on top of Ao Zhon's head. Ah! How could it be? When Xiao Hua saw that black figure, he unconsciously looked like a mortal who had seen a ghost. His face was deathly pale, and an incredulous cry of surprise escaped his mouth. He was actually 10 times more surprised than when he saw Long Sai. What blocked Ao Zhon's head was a several jong large strange insect. Half of this strange insect's size was its head. There were 2 long feelers on its head. The feelers were serrated. They looked very sharp. Behind the feelers were 2 skull-sized pitch-black spots. This pitch-black spot seemed to be made up of thousands of even smaller pitch-black spots. Looking at the strange insect's body again, it was slightly protruding. Layers of grey spots stacked together. The grey spots converged at the strange insect's tail, condensing into a several-inch-long spike. The spike emitted a greyish-black color. On both sides of the strange insect's body, there was a pair of several jong-long wings. When they flapped, they emitted a black light. Under the wings, there were 2 even longer hind legs on its abdomen, like a pair of long halberds. Those hind legs streaked across the air, setting off strands of ripples. It actually tore the space apart. Wasn't this the strange insect that Xiao Hua and Sun Jian joined hands to kill in the void that year? However, this strange insect was more than 10 times bigger than the one Xiao Hua had seen before. That year, that 2 kai long strange insect gave Xiao Hua and Sun Jian, who were at the lower 5th grade of essence energy, a headache. If Xiao Hua hadn't used his spiritual fire to launch a sneak attack, he probably wouldn't have been able to escape from the strange insect's attack. Moreover, the hind legs that Xiao Hua obtained from the strange insect's body were refined into the soul execution vital light. The sharpness of those hind legs increased the might of the soul execution vital light by 30%. Now, although Xiao Hua's strength had reached the upper 6th grade of essence energy and he had 2 huge dragons by his side, but how could he be a match for this strange insect? Thinking about those dragons that were easily killed by the strange insect and Ao Zheng and the others that died under the strange insect's sharp teeth, Xiao Hua immediately made a decision. He then angrily roared, "Little White, don't move. I will take care of you first. Ao Sheng, if you want to live, quickly carry this old man and escape." While speaking, Xiao Hua's arm shook and the universe bracelet that he didn't have time to put away shook, putting the little white dragon into the space. However, it was a bit troublesome to put Dragon Vein Xiao Hua into the space. Dragon Vein Xiao Hua couldn't enter Xiao Hua's space. Xiao Hua didn't have time to think at this time. His figure floated onto Ao Sheng's back. Ao Sheng roared and used the dragon race's secret technique to fly into the distance. Dragon Vein Xiao Hua flew beside Ao Sheng. "Fellow Dragon Vein." Xiao Hua transmitted, "Can you still return to Ai's body?" Dragon Vein Xiao Hua hurriedly replied, "Ai's dragon body hasn't completely solidified yet. It should still be possible." "All right." Xiao Hua urged, "Don't resist, I will try to take you in first." Immediately, Xiao Hua's mind covered Dragon Vein Xiao Hua. Dragon Vein Xiao Hua's dragon body quickly shrank and fell into Xiao Hua's meridians. However, once Dragon Vein Xiao Hua entered Xiao Hua's body, Xiao Hua immediately felt his body sink, as if there was something heavy entering his body. Of course, this heavy feeling only lasted for a moment. On the contrary, Ao Sheng's dragon body suddenly sank and he cried out in shock, "Xiao Hua, why are you so heavy?" Before Xiao Hua could speak, Ao Zhon's cry for help came from behind, "Spiritual Master Xiao, save me." 13. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.